All right, all rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. All right, good evening, everyone. Clerk, please take us through the roll call.
Councilor Tenari Garcia.
Present.
Councilor Jimenez Rivera.
Present.
Councilor Recupero. Councilor Taylor.
Here.
Councilor Robinson.
Here.
Councilor Tesh.
Here.
Councilor Kelly Garcia is absent. Councilor Santiago.
Here.
Councilor Vega.
Here.
Councilor Brown.
Here.
And Councilor De Souza.
Present.
10 members present, 1 absent. You have a quorum, Madam President.
Thank you, Clerk. Councilor Taylor.
Point of personal privilege. At the last meeting, I inadvertently demoted Sergeant Star Chung to Officer Chung, and I apologize for that. She earned that promotion, so I just wanted to correct the record that she is Sergeant Chung. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor. There are no celebratory resolutions or public hearings. We'll move forward to public speaking. If you are here for the public speaking section, please state your name and address, and you have 4 minutes.
Good evening, Council.
Good evening.
My name is Joan Crabwell, and I live in District 4, and I'm here to speak on a matter that I have been compelled to address, a matter of grave concern on the recent interference by members of the Council and the work of appointed boards such as planning and zoning boards. As an appointed board members, we have been entrusted with the authority and the responsibility to uphold the democratic process by weighing evidence, applying established regulations, and deciding cases before us. It is deeply troubling when, on the eve of a scheduled vote, council members attempt to introduce amendments, cast doubt on pending matters, or exert pressure to influence outcomes. Such actions are not only inappropriate, they are flagrant, undermining and an abuse of authority. They corrupt the independence of appointed boards, jeopardize due process, and erode the trust of the public places in our system of governance. Council members who are frequently absent from meetings should not attempt to alter or override the decisions of those who have consistently done the work, reviewed the cases, and honored their obligations. To intervene at the last moment, whether out of political calculation, fear of losing votes in an election year, or external pressure from narrow interest groups, undermines both the spirit and the letter of our democratic institution. Let me be clear. To move forward with amendments the night before a board meeting to decide a case is reckless, self-serving, and corrosive to the integrity of the process. It sends the wrong message to the public. The decisions are not based on fair deliberation and the rule of law, but on political maneuvering and private influence. I urge the council to refrain from interfering in the independent work of appointed boards and to allow us to carry out the duties we have sworn to uphold without disruption or political manipulation. Anything less is an abdication of the council's responsibility to protect rather than undermine Chelsea's democratic institutions. I would also like to address the proposals of providing stipends to board members. I believe this is not a productive idea. Given Chelsea's long history of corruption and receivership, it is critical that we remain intentional about transparency and avoid even the appearance of potential misuse of public funds. Board service should continue to be grounded in civic duty and community commitment, with members volunteering their time and energy out of dedication to Chelsea rather than expectation of compensation. Lastly, it is troubling and disappointing that a prominent city leader would urge you, the council, to take away the power to vote from planning and zoning. That is not democracy. We already know on a federal level what's going on. That is not democracy. In Chelsea, we fight to keep our process fair, impartial, and accountable. Removing this voice threatens the very safety nets that protect our community, safeguard our neighborhoods, and ensure residents are not left powerless in decisions that impact their daily lives. Thank you for your attention to this matter, and I trust that together we can preserve the integrity of Chelsea's democratic process. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, my name is Bree Ramos, and I declined on stating my residency for safety issues. I want to begin that I'm a graduate at Chelsea High Schools, and I'm the class of 2024. I came here to say that the majority of Chelsea residents are struggling, especially the youth. Our community needs stable housing, better jobs, and real opportunities for our children and young adults to thrive. We must advocate for plans that lift the majority, plans that create jobs and economic mobility, and plans that build a safer, stronger Chelsea. But I also want to highlight something important. I want to highlight the fact that the youth are our next generation that will carry this community. We are the future leaders, we are the future workers, and we are the voices of Chelsea. But to make our community stronger, we need opportunities now. For far too long, many unrepresented families, those who have lived here for generations, and those who came here seeking a better life, not for them, but also for their family, have not had the chance to become what they have dreamed for. And America is supposed to be the land of the free, and people come here for their dreams. Their hope is for the next generation, us, to achieve what they didn't, but how do we do that if we don't have the resources or the support? When we make sure that every family that has the resources and opportunities to succeed, we create a Chelsea that reflects the strength of all of us. Together, we can build this community that will be safer and full opportunities for every single one of us. Thank you for listening.
Thank you.
Good evening, Council.
Good evening.
My name is Blanca Gacharna, and I decline on publicly stating my address. Good evening, Councilors. I'd like to respectfully request that the Council reconsider the practice of requiring speakers to state their full home address before speaking. While we understand the importance of transparency and maintaining an accurate public record, this practice raises serious safety concerns for our community. Chelsea has proudly declared itself a sanctuary city, standing up for immigrant families and vulnerable residents. Unfortunately, that commitment has also made our city and its people a target. With increased threats from ICE and other enforcement agencies, asking residents to share their full address publicly creates unnecessary risks. It exposes community members to harassment, surveillance, arrests, deportation, or even direct targeting for immigration enforcement. This requirement also has a chilling effect on civic participation. Many residents, especially immigrant families, mixed status households, renters, and others who are already feel vulnerable may be discouraged from speaking out on issues that matter to them for fear of retaliation or being located by ICE. In effect, the current practice silences voices we most need to hear from. Instead, I suggest allowing speakers to state only their name and, if helpful, for context, their neighborhood or district. This provides enough information for the public record while protecting the safety and privacy of residents. It strikes a balance between accountability and community protection. By removing this requirement, the council would send a strong message that Chelsea values both civic engagement and the protection of its people. It would affirm that we will not allow intimidation, whether from outside agencies or from fear of exposure, to weaken our democratic processes or silence our community members. Thank you for your consideration.
Good evening.
Good evening.
A letter from the majority of Chelsea members. We often talk about the tale of two cities.
I'm sorry,
Here in
ma'am.
Chelsea,
I don't want to interrupt you. Could I get your name?
yes, you may. My name is Beverly Martin Ross. I'm a long life resident of Chelsea. We often talk about the tale of two cities here in Chelsea. For many of us, it's just a saying. It is a lived reality. Growing up here, you quickly learn that Admiral's Hill operates by a different set of rules. From soccer nets filled with cement to an overbearing security presence to gates and curfews designed to keep people out. The message has long been clear. This part of Chelsea isn't for everyone. Access for this community, even the opportunity for economic growth on the Hill, has come with barriers that exclude the wider Chelsea community. Unfortunately, past city practices and even recent actions from some of the councilors has reinforced this division rather than breaking it down. This only deepens the feeling of two Chelseas. We must not accept the status quo. Instead, we need to dismantle the barriers built from implying barriers and implementing privileges barriers that have been upheld by our own local government. The majority of my members of this community are working family, immigrants, and valuable neighbors who deserve strong representation and advocacy for economic opportunities that promotes more jobs to increase housing, stability, quality education, and self-sufficient food security. Amen? Let me provide you with some information to remind you where the majority population Chelsea stands. In Chelsea, about 20.6% of the population lives below the poverty line. This number is much higher than the state's average, which is about 9.4%. In Chelsea, the unemployment rate is 5.2%, which is higher than the state and federal average. In Chelsea, over 20% of residents are affected by poverty. In Chelsea, over 400 children have left our school system.
Good evening. I'm
Good
Nicole
evening.
McCoy. Good evening. I'm Nicole McCoy, a resident of Chelsea. I'm going to read a second part of that letter. In Chelsea, increased ICE presence had led to heightened terror among immigrant families, forcing them to flee, hide, and live in fear. In Chelsea, the majority, over half of renters, are considered housing cost burdened, meaning they spend more than 30% of their income on housing. Nearly 1/3 of households pay over 50% of their income to rent, leaving little for other necessities. In Chelsea, limited affordable housing contributes to frequent displacement of low-income residents, and the prevalence of substandard living condition aspirates health issues and increased vulnerability to public health crisis. In Chelsea, the majority of residents need job opportunities and economic advancement. Children of economically stable families are more likely to complete school and pursue higher education. In Chelsea, we need to advocate for new and more opportunities for upward mobility for the majority of residents, which is crucial to reducing the impact of poverty. If you advocate for those types of amendments, you will be opening doors to future employment prospects, creating pathways for intergenerational wealth, growth, and benefits for families and the majority of the Chelsea population. In turn, your actions will help to break down the wall that continues to support the tale of two cities and create one strong voice that speaks to all, speaks to the All-American City Award we continue to celebrate. Thank you for your attention.
Hi, everyone. My name is Jennifer Hassel. Most of you may know me by my role in the community, but I'm here as a resident of the community for the last 53 years, and I'm in District 8. I'm taking my few moments to speak about a project that was recently voted against. I am here to say, as a resident, I am in favor of this project, and I want to advocate and hope that this isn't a done deal. I'm hoping that we can convince them to potentially come back or have another company of its liking, because at the end of the day, I understand and I sympathize with the residents that are being impacted by any project that goes into that industrial zone. But we need to remember that it is an industrial zone, and at the end of the day, someone is going to go in there. And it would be better to work with somebody that wants to work with us, work with the community, and work with their neighbors versus getting someone in there that isn't going to care and not work with their neighbors. And I completely understand and again sympathize with some of the concerns that the residents had. But some of the tactics I strongly disagree with. And I am really sad at what I saw during the last couple of meetings, the lack of respect and the disdain for the process. There needs to be a better way to do this. There needs to be a better way to meet halfway, and there needs to be accountability for everyone who had a part in this. There's a lot of subjects that are coming up today that I don't choose to speak upon, but accountability is a huge part of everybody's job, and we need to make sure that everybody's held accountable for the decisions that they make. Thank you for your time here today.
Hey, everybody. Hi, honorable members of the City Council. Damali Vidal, coolest city councilor that ever existed. Sorry, Leo. I'm here. I own my property in, is it still District 5? I don't know, on Highland Street, 140 Highland Street. And I'm here to talk about a couple of things. Initially, I was coming here to talk about an event that I was organizing with other community members and nonprofit organizations, and I will save that to the end because there's obviously something coming up here that needs to be addressed. Prior to me leaving the City Council the last time, I felt uncomfortable being on the City Council because at times it felt like I was part of something nefarious, because the nepotism, the sneakiness, the conversations, the conflicted interests. It just felt super uncomfortable, and I couldn't in good conscience stay anymore. So I left and figured, hey, you know what? I've done my job, but I have always stayed in touch, and you all know that I have always picked up your calls when you call me, even after you came into office, because for me, it's never personal. For me, it's about the betterment of the city. I have relationships with each one of you, even Todd Taylor, y'all, it's for real. But, I'm sorry, I'm dry. I had to fast for an ultrasound, so I'm super thirsty, so don't mind me. At the end of the day, well, prior to me leaving, I went to a zoning board meeting, and there was a project that was there, and there were counselors speaking on it in favor of this project, but it was weird because they were relatives to the person who had the projects, but they were employees, but they were family members, and it just felt weird. And I said to the zoning board, I said, listen, you are the only buffer that exists right now between our city and what happens at a receivership. And it was probably the last words I ever said at a zoning board meeting while I was here. And to think, I was watching the meeting. I don't care if a fish market goes in Ambrose Hill. I live in Rhode Island. It doesn't matter to me. What I do care is that we have a straight, democratic, fair, transparent process. And to me, that was not what happened. A lot of people don't know what the process is. When the city manager wants to appoint someone to a board, he submits names, he gives it to the city council looks at it, they have to read it in one meeting, send it to the next meeting, and then in the second reading, they decide whether to appoint or not. That's the process. So if there's ever an issue about terms or zoning board, that's when you do your work. Every year, usually the planning board will come up with ideas for zoning amendments. They'll submit it to the city council. We'll have a subcommittee. Boring meeting, going over everything, but we do it because you have to do the work. You look at it and you're like, yeah, this is good. That would have been the time to do your job, but to impede with a process after the fact, it smells funny, it looks bad, and it's super unprofessional. I want to see you all thrive. Should we have young Latino people in this community represent our city? Hell yes, all day. But not if we're going to be employing the same tactics of the people that came before us. You can't dismantle the master's house with his own tools. The problem here is that we don't do enough civic engagement. We don't do enough to talk about how to get on these boards. These boards, they should be up every 2 years. We should be flipping them like pancakes, but we take the easy route, right? So then that's the accountability. That's where you all did not do what you should have done. And I hated when I was on that side and people will come over here and tell me about the things I wasn't doing. But you guys, like, we have to do better. It's not personal. It's about the community and being transparent. So the reason why these things happen is because we don't talk about civic engagement in our schools. That's all by design. Anybody could join the board. Anybody could run for city council. And so I teamed up with a group of organizers and nonprofit organizations to host a candidate forum on October 9th at the Senior Center from 6 to 8. We are prioritizing the districts that have contenders. I hope that everybody comes and attends and hear why people are running for office and if that's who they want to elect. Because at the end of the day, the only power that exists here is the power of the people, all day.
Thank you. Anyone else here for public speaking? Come up to the podium.
My name is Kenneth Umemba. And for disclosure, I actually promised my wife that I wasn't coming here to speak. But surprisingly, I just want to speak on leadership and what transpired. Because when I look on the board, I see a lot of folks that are aspiring for higher offices. The essence of leadership is not what we saw. You have to have a moral compass. You just don't flutter in the wind. Where is the wind blowing? I heard that somebody said cojones. I'm going to tell you what cojones was that about. When you characterize leadership, When I go to my family, they used to say, Dad, you stopped nips in the city of Chelsea. Somebody took a claim for it. There used to be two young boys that owned their dad's property. And when I first was asked to be on the licensing board, they were young. I saw my kids through them. But along the way, I saw some stubbornness. It was difficult. I saw the people in my community. They were poor. They were spot checks. People are drunk, passing out. The police. He used to be a captain. He's my friend. So many times he sees me, he's like, hey, with me. I said, no, when I was there, you did not appreciate what I was doing. It was a fire in the gutter. And now let me go back to that leadership. One of the greatest moments we had was when the city manager called us, everybody that served on the board in Chelsea. I didn't know what he was calling us for. It was in this place. Wasn't expecting anything. We may like him or hate him, but guess what? One question he asked every board member in the city of Chelsea that was here was, if I have ever influenced your decision-making process in this city, raise your hand up. Nobody raised their hand up. That was the greatest triumph. That is the kind of leader you want to work for and serve for. I served 2 city managers here. I was there for a long time. I get out of the lab, 5 o'clock, I'm rushing down to Chelsea to make a quorum. I'm afraid of traffic. At some point I said I wasn't going to do it. I served for more than 8 years. I've been on that side. I've been on this side. Somebody has to stand and be the Rubicon. If you are aspiring for a higher office, you cannot say my mom, my brother, my sister, or anybody else. The first time I was on the licensing board, there was a young girl that came there. She did not even know why she was there.
Sir, I am so sorry. I just want to make sure we get enough time for any of the other speakers.
Okay.
If you could just,
I'll round up.
thank you.
I tell you, I wanted to take an op-ed when the time comes and write on what it matters to serve. When you're over there, you are making a decision, a balancing act for the city and for the citizens. And I fought that battle from 950 Broadway, all over those folks that come here. They used to bring everybody. The Catalans. When they were, I stood between the neighbor and that company, and I wanted experts there. Sometimes you demand for that expertise. SOP, standard operating procedure, that company said, nobody actually asked what SOP means. The chemicals, nobody asked that. They're gonna have to clean. I hope I have enough time to come back again and say, please, you serve the city, and you stand between the people, ask for the right questions, and you are representing, stop interfering, because when you come over here to influence the process, you tie in the commissioner's hand. They are serving you, and please stop interference, because that is not the essence of leadership.
Thank you, sir.
Hello, hello. My name is Marco. This is my first time speaking. I'm from La Colaborativa. All right, let me start my speech. Good evening, members of the council. I work with La Colaborativa, and I'm an organizer with the Made Up to Code campaign. Through the Made Up to Code application, we help residents perform their own inspections so they can document the unsafe conditions in their homes and have tools to demand change. In my time working with this campaign, I've seen firsthand the conditions that too many families in our communities are forced to live in. This work is not just about fixing one apartment. It's about fighting for safe, healthy housing for all. I've spoken with families who have endured leaks coming from their apartments above them, humidity that creates black mold. Imagine having black mold in your ceiling while you're showering. Infestations of mice, roaches, and even maggots. You can take a look at the pictures. Some of my coworkers have pictures. This is real, and it's happening in Chelsea. I've seen parents struggling to protect their children in homes that should be a place of safety, not danger. I look forward to having conversations with you all so we can strengthen our partnerships, and support one another with this project. Did I make myself clear? Yeah, it should be. I think I have some testimonies from some tenants that may or may be, no quiere hablar un poquito de lo que está pasando en su. Okay.
And I never speak politically correct, so you have to excuse me. And this is my first time speaking. Hello, everybody.
Good evening.
My name is Valerie. I'm very nervous. Last year, I had bed bugs, and my landlord tried to convince me that I brought them into my own apartment. First of all, I don't like people. Damali will tell you. I have nobody in my apartment.
I'm sorry to interrupt. Can you speak closer to the mic? I want to make sure we can all hear.
Okay, can y'all hear
Thank
me?
you. Yep.
Okay. I don't like people. Damali will tell you I don't let anybody in my apartment. My landlord tried to convince me that I brought them in myself. Come to find out that there were bed bugs on my whole floor. I live in a 108-unit apartment building, I think. Whoever knows. It's more than anyway, it's about 100 units. Let me calm down. Anyway, I've been in the building for 20 years. Last year, I get bed bugs. My body's all scarred up because I asked to be moved to another apartment. While they took care of the problem, they wouldn't move me because they told me I would bring them with me. All I wanted to do was just bring my whole body. I didn't need to bring anything with me to another apartment. That one didn't happen. They couldn't move me to a hotel, blah, 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 yada, yada, yada. Anyway, the landlord didn't take accountability, told me I was the only one that had them. The different apartments on that floor had bed bugs. Hi, how are you? The building has all kinds of critters in it. I've been in there, as I said, for 20 years. I never had roaches. They're in the building, though. I've never had mice, but they're in the building. They do a good job, you know, taking care of some of the problems, but they don't take care of all of them. They're not transparent with the tenants. But they're not held accountable. Another reason why I'm up here speaking on it is because when I called City Hall, they were more sympathetic towards the landlord than with me. And I didn't find that, I found that effed up. I'm doing really good. I don't know what this meeting is about. You know, I came here basically for the critters and, you know, to hold landlords and property managers accountable. I wish I would have got here before the whole meeting to find out what everybody's talking about, the zoning and whatever's going on and stuff. I'm not trying to be selfish, but I'm talking about everybody in Chelsea, you know, the critters. I noticed that there's the rat boxes and stuff with the poisons and stuff down in here I hate public speaking, but this needs to be said. I noticed that they have the rodent traps and stuff down in the center, in the squares and stuff. You know, that's great and stuff, but I wish that the landlords were being held accountable. You know, they're trying, but trying is not good enough. You know, I guess what I'm saying is that people need to be doing better, you know, and not looking out just for their own families. you know, and I think that's what I'm hearing a little bit about in this meeting is that it's all about everybody looking out for their families, and I don't think that's right. And I'm gonna just leave it there because I don't want to say anything else.
Thank you for testifying. Thank you for testifying. If you feel comfortable, hon, sharing your address with our city manager, because I want to be able to follow up and ensure that. Okay. All right, anyone else here for?
She's gonna testify.
Buenas noches.
Buenas noches.
Mi nombre es María Romero. Yo vivo en la 168 Churle. Estoy aquí porque en el apartamento hay varios problemitas.
Ya, un momentito, mi amor, por favor.
Okay. Okay. Buenas noches. Mi nombre es María Romero. Yo vivo en el apartamento 168 de la Churle.
Buenas noches, mi nombre es María Romero, yo vivo en el departamento 188. Okay. Oh, hi, my name is María Romero and I live in 168 Romero Street.
Yo estoy aquí porque en el apartamento donde yo estoy viviendo hay algunos problemitas, en el cual pues yo le he dicho varias veces al dueño y él no me ha respondido.
I'm here because in my apartment I have had different little problems and I have talked to the landlord and he hasn't been paying attention to me.
Por este motivo vine y le pedí la ayuda a ver qué podíamos hacer al grupo de la colaborativa, Marcos. Pues ellos me aconsejaron en que tenía que pues, venir aquí y presentar el problema, el cual pues ellos ya me han llenado una solicitud.
So I talked to Marco and the Colaborativa, and they helped me to fill out an application.
Pues uno de los problemas que hay en el apartamento son cucarachas y ratones. Nosotros hemos tratado de siempre de buscar algo para para poder desaparecer esa plaga.
One of the problems I have is that I have mice and cockroaches, and I have always looked for something to make this plague disappear.
También entre otros problemas que hay que ya se presentaron, créanme que es un dolor de cabeza tener que levantarse todos los días por las mañanas y tener que hacer limpieza por ese problema que hay, porque la verdad que sí es muy asqueroso.
Among some of the problems that I have, believe me, that is a real headache to wake up in the morning and have to clean all this about the animals that are, believe me, that is a real problem.
Bueno, una de las cosas que hemos hecho es como poner pegas para los ratones. Las cucarachas, pues, las he espantado un poco con lo que es haciendo cosas caseras, que es el vinagre con el jabón de lavar platos. Con esto se han ido un poco las cucarachas, pero siempre salen como que como que revientan los huevitos y salen cucarachitas muy chiquitas.
About the mice, the solution for me has been to have those, no, I have tried to, for this to be the solution, to have those sticky tramps for the mice. And for the cockroaches, just with home remedies like vinegar with soap. But the cockroaches have little eggs.
Bueno, por eso estoy aquí, pues pido, ¿verdad?, al City Hall, pues si nos pueden ayudar con este caso para ver si el señor encargado o el dueño pues se preocupan por mejorar el apartamento y tratar de desaparecer ese problema que tenemos de las plagas.
So I'm asking City Hall to help us and see if the landlord can take care of this problem about the plagues. That's the problem we're having.
Gracias por compartir.
Gracias.
Gracias por compartir. Le voy a pedir que también, si puedes, en confianza ahí, darle la dirección a nuestro administrador, porque quiero asegurar que lleguemos a su apartamento para ver cómo podemos resolver.
Ok.
Gracias.
Es todo. Muchas gracias.
And thank you to our translator. That happens to me all the time.
Okay. She wants me to read something, but I'm going to go get my glasses, okay?
Oh, of course, of course.
¿Quiere que lo leas?
No, yo, si quieres leo yo párrafo por párrafo. Pues,
Okay.
sí, ok. Hola a todos, buenas tardes. Mi nombre es Alejandra. Yo me uní a la colaborativa durante la pandemia en el COVID-19 en el año 2021. Estuvimos tocando puertas, apoyando a las familias de Chelsea para que pudieran sobrevivir y subsistir en medio de una crisis sin precedentes.
Okay. Hello, my name is Alejandra. I joined the Colaborativa during COVID-19 pandemic in 2021. We were knocking on doors, supporting families in Chelsea so they could survive and make it through an unprecedented crisis.
Fue un caminar por las calles cuando nos dimos cuenta qué tan intensa estaba la situación con las condiciones en las que estaban viviendo muchas de nuestras familias. Ahí nació la necesidad de documentar la realidad y de ahí nació el programa Made Up to Go. Al principio lo hicimos de la manera más sencilla, no sé si recuerden que estábamos nosotros con una tableta, con un Google Form, documentando cómo vivían nuestras familias para al menos tener una mínima data sobre nuestra comunidad, de lo que estaba enfrentando.
It was while walking on the streets that we realized how intense the situation really was, seeing the conditions so many of many of our families were living in. That is where the need to document the reality was born, and from there, the Made Up to Code program began. At first, we did it in the simple way, with a Google Form survey, just to at least have some basic data about what our communities was facing.
Hoy quiero dar las gracias a nuestros concejales, administrador y departamentos porque finalmente adoptaron esta póliza que tanto necesitamos. Recordemos el esfuerzo que implica, pero también quiero que reconozcan que esta lucha no empezó en el escritorio de ninguna oficina. Nació en la calle, con los promotores, con el trabajo, con la insistencia de la colaborativa, junto con la comunidad que no se cansó de levantar la voz y el trabajo no ha terminado. Esto acaba de empezar.
Today, I want to thank our councilors, city manager, and departments for finally adopting this policy that we so badly need to. We recognize the effort it takes, but I also want to acknowledge the first fight did not start at any office desk. Sorry. It started in the streets with the work and persistence of the Colaborativa, together with a community that never grew tired of raising its voice. And the work has not ended, it has just begun.
Ahora tenemos un serio problema: implementar esta plataforma de forma real y efectiva. Nuestros vecinos no deberían sentirse intimidados cuando se solicita una inspección por parte de ellos a su vivienda. Sin embargo, es inevitable escuchar los comentarios del Departamento de Inspecciones o de Servicios Públicos que asustan a nuestra gente y les hacen comentarios como les pueden subir la renta si les hacemos esta inspección, o les dicen el dueño se puede enojar si llevamos a cabo la inspección. ¿Quiere que la hagamos?
Now we have a serious challenge, implementing this platform in a real and effective way. Our neighbors should not feel intimidated when requesting a housing inspection. Yet, we hear comments from the Inspectional Services Department and Public Services that scare people, such as your rent could go up if we do this inspection. The landlord is going to get upset if we carry on with this inspection. Do you want us to do it?
Eso es inaceptable. La inspección debe de ser una herramienta para mejorar la vida de nuestras familias, no un motivo de miedo. Por eso, hoy le pido a la ciudad que redoble sus esfuerzos, que no solo adopte una política, sino que la convierta en una acción firme y efectiva.
That is unacceptable. Inspections must be a tool to improve the lives of our families, not a source of fear.
Que asegure que nuestras familias, aún en medio de las dificultades, cuenten con las mínimas condiciones de vivienda dignas que todo ser humano merece. Esperemos poder contar con el apoyo de los concejales, administrador y departamento de IACES, Departamento de Salud y Departamento de Housing Development. Muchísimas gracias.
We have to have the support of the councils, the city manager, the ISD department, the health department, and the housing development department. Thank you very much.
Gracias.
Hello, everyone. My name is Angie Coronado. I work at La Colaborativa as the Director of Health Equity. Oh, hello. Sorry,
Hi.
this is the first time the second time I'm here. Okay. Hello, everyone. In a city like Chelsea, we can see clearly how housing is one of the most powerful social determinants of health. Chelsea is vibrant, diverse, and resilient. But it's also a community that has long been burdened by housing insecurity, environmental injustice, and the lasting impacts of systemic racism. Many residents that have come to La Colaborativa, and many that haven't come to La Colaborativa, live in overcrowded, aging housing, often without adequate ventilation, insulation, and infestation of mice, mouse, roaches. We have named a few, also bed bugs. I have seen children come in with rashes in their skin, having to seek urgent care because of the allergies these bed bugs have produced, also like rodents. Okay, so where was I? Now I'm going off track, sorry about that. Okay, these conditions are not just uncomfortable, they're dangerous. They lead to higher rates of asthma, chronic illness, and stress-related health issues, especially in children and elders. During the COVID-19 pandemic, Chelsea had one of the highest infection rates in the state. That wasn't coincidence. It was a consequence of inequity. Families living in tight quarters couldn't isolate. Many were essential workers with no option to stay home. The health crisis not only exposed the things that many already knew, the conditions people live and share, their chances to survive and thrive. Housing is a social determinant of health. It's one of the most important ones. It's not just about being comfortable or it's survival. It's not about taking a hot bath or a shower. No, if your housing or if you're going through housing insecurity and if you're living in a quarter that is infested with roaches, rats, you're not safe. It would be better for you to be outdoors, but then we also have high traffic areas here with highways, so there's also air pollution which is not safe. But I stay very optimistic, and I know we can change. Thank you.
Thank you.
Excuse me.
Buenas noches, mi nombre es Gloria García. Es primera vez que hago esto y no iba a pasar porque en realidad me da vergüenza. Pero venía...
Gloria, disculpa que esté interrumpiendo. ¿Van a Ana Sofía, will you be translating or should I? Okay.
Good evening, my name is Gloria Garcia. This is my first time being up here, and the truth is that I was embarrassed to come up.
Estoy aquí, quiero hablar poco porque tal vez ya están cansados, pero estoy aquí en nombre de 25 apartamentos que hay en el building donde yo vivo y sé que en los 25 apartamentos están con una o dos plagas, pero nadie quiere hablar.
I'm just going to say something short because maybe you are all tired, but I am here to speak on behalf of 25 apartments who are all facing 2 different infestations, and folks are scared to speak.
Estoy aquí por las familias de esos 25 apartamentos, incluyéndome. Estoy aquí por mis hijas, por ella tomé el valor para pasar, porque he estado suplicando desde el 17 de julio, buscando ayuda.
I'm here on behalf of those 25 families and my daughters because since July 17th, I have been begging for help.
Tengo 20 años de estar aquí en Chelsea, me encanta Chelsea, amo Chelsea, no tengo valor de irme a otra ciudad. Aquí he vivido los 20 años que tengo de estar acá y llevo 14 viviendo en el mismo apartamento.
I've lived in Chelsea for 20 years. I love living in Chelsea. I don't want to move, and ¿cuántos años tiene el apartamento? 14. And I've been in my apartment for 14 years.
En un apartamento donde yo he pintado, yo he cambiado muebles, yo he ayudado a mi esposo a poner piso, he ayudado a todo lo que se ha tenido que reparar allí porque simple y sencillamente no tenemos el apoyo del dueño. Y lamentablemente tenemos como buena persona esa persona que no dice nada, no se mete con nosotros, pero el 17 de julio yo comprobé que no es tan buena persona como yo creía.
I painted in my apartment, I put in furniture, I've helped my husband put in floors, and we have one of those landlords who's a good person, he doesn't bother you, but since July 17th, I realized maybe he's not as good of a person as I thought.
Y me da tristeza pensar eso. Y hasta la fecha no he querido hacer nada, esperando la oportunidad que él se acerque porque el 17 de julio mi casa se infectó de gusanos. El 4 de julio tenía que pasar la basura, no pasó, se empezó a sentir el mal olor, y ella era la que tenía su cuarto al lado de donde está la basura, vivo en un basement. Entonces la saqué de allí para otro cuarto que no lo teníamos para dormitorio, pero le junté todas sus cosas allí. Dios me avisó porque a los 2 días yo entré a ese cuarto y ese cuarto estaba lleno de gusanos y
Until this date, I didn't want to come forward, and I'd given the problem time. But on July 4th, they didn't come to get the trash, and the bad smell started. And then we started to see worms. I moved my daughter into another room. God must have let me know because 2 days later, we found maggots in her room.
Y desde ese día, los gusanos, si no entran por esa ventana, entran por la puerta de enfrente, porque los botes los comenzaron a poner, es donde los ponen enfrente de mi puerta. Desde el frente de mi puerta hay 14 botes con basura y gusanos cayendo de allí, que lo que buscan es mi puerta, por ser Beshman. Y sin que nadie me ayude a lidiar con esos animales.
Ana Sofia, before you continue, I want to acknowledge first that there is translation happening, so the time is almost less limited. If you can ask her to please summarize her final words after this translation piece, and then that way we can make sure everyone else gets an opportunity to speak.
Thank you. So if the maggots don't come through the window, they come through my front door. There are 14 trash barrels, and the maggots look for the front door to come in since it's a basement unit.
Lo que quería decir es que quería suplicar, es lo que he pasado haciendo desde el 17 de julio, suplicando por muchos lados, buscando ayuda, que hablen con el dueño, y hasta la fecha yo no le he visto la cara al dueño. Y lo único que he escuchado, tal vez se tiene que mudar, se tiene que ir de ahí, y que el único que me puede ayudar es el dueño. Y quería suplicarles a ustedes, que son los que yo confiaba. En primer lugar, yo dije, voy a tener que ir a City Hall porque ellos tienen la solución, ellos son los que me van a poder ayudar. Y con el respeto que se merecen, no hubo ningún cambio hasta la fecha.
What I want is that I'm begging you to talk to the landlord to fix this issue. I have trusted City Hall, and I came to City Hall. Y nada ha cambiado. Nothing has changed.
Muchas gracias.
Gracias a ustedes, y solo espero que sí, tal vez necesitan ser un poquito más estrictos con los dueños. Muchas gracias.
Hi, good evening. My name is Ana Sofia. I live at 126 Washington Ave, number 1. I just want to first acknowledge the tenants who spoke and the vulnerability that it takes to share about these situations, especially when you're told repeatedly that these issues are your fault, or that you have to move, or that you're asking for too much. So recognizing these stories, I'm here to ask that the city tackle this issue not only by ensuring properties meet minimum standards, but that the city take a proactive preservation strategy that addresses the intersection between housing conditions and displacement. You've heard from residents about the investor owners, many of whom are known bad actors in the city who've systematically neglected building repairs, deriving a profit from renting substandard housing to the city's most vulnerable tenants, and often investing in higher-end development in other parts of the city. These tenants live day in and day out in intolerable housing conditions, knowing that the consequences of reporting conditions can be seen as making trouble and that moving out is not an option. The cost of housing is too high. They know that a 2-bedroom apartment for $1,800, where you're living in bad conditions, the alternative is trying to move into a 2-bedroom apartment for $2,600 and paying upwards of $10,000 in move-in costs, and that's not an option. But recognizing the cost of housing across the city also means holding bad landlords accountable while recognizing the economics of preservation work. It means putting resources behind goals of providing safe and dignified housing. It means the city playing a role in creatively financing projects that allow people not only to live in safe conditions and meet, again, bare minimum safety requirements, but to stay in their homes and in the community long term. means ensuring that when properties we know have been neglected are for sale or are sold, we come together to craft strategies that preserve tenancies and address conditions rather than turning our heads on mass displacement. Thank you.
So, hi, I'm Milagros Barreto, 104 Johnson Street in Lynn. Yes, I'm a staff at La Colaborativa, but I'm here as a Roach representing the voices of the community out there that are afraid of retaliation if they speak. They are turning this situation, this infestation, as a normal living, which is unacceptable. So please, City Hall, here, people here in the street. So just listen to us, listen to the community, not La Colaborativa, to the community. And yeah, we want to make things work, so what we cannot work as a team, right? And give a better life and dignity to the community. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Jade Umemba, and I live at 87 Parker Street. I wasn't expecting to speak tonight, but I feel compelled, so just bear with me as I gather my thoughts. I empathize with all of the tenants who just came up here to speak. I think that landlords, developers, all need to be held accountable, because when you move into, a place to live, you're not expecting to have to face these issues. So my condo was built and there was a leak happening. So it's been about 5 years that we were having all of this water damage. And so I've been living with plywood floors for like 5 years now. Every time it rains, new water spots appear. If it's cold outside, snow is coming inside. There's icicles forming on the doorways. And the developer didn't have to do much when it came to the repairs. We actually had to come out of pocket to handle that. So I just think that it's insane, honestly, that you're moving into places like this. There are children there. People have pets, and it takes a toll on you physically, financially, mentally. It's not fair, and people should be held accountable, those who are responsible, because it shouldn't be, the onus of the people living there who bought there not expecting any of these things. I will also say that when the building was going up, things were approved that shouldn't have been approved. So there has to be a process in place that prevents that from happening, so that we're not left out to dry and suffer for all of this time. And just to kind of tie everything together, I will say, I think it is a bit of a privilege to be able to come up here and complain about traffic impacting your life, when that's something that people experience all the time when people are going through issues like this. So I do think that those efforts need to be focused on those things. Thank you.
Good evening, Council. I also will keep this super quick because I know that you have things to get on to tonight, and I also did not plan on speaking, but the residents that did speak really just kind of hit home, I think, for all of us. My name is Marnie McAlpine. I live at 20 Franklin Avenue, and then because of one of the things I want to state, just in full disclosure, I'm also the chair of the Chelsea Licensing Board. So in reference to the comments about the property management companies, I want to say kudos to our city council for putting the property management licenses in place. I think that is a step in the right direction to help combat this issue that we're having in our community. Obviously, that's only going to address those that are property management company run. We still have to work to address the ones that are owner occupied, managing it themselves. But thank you for that first step in that right direction. I think it's an important thing. I know we're still in the process of kind of rolling all of that out. I wish it could be faster, hearing about people in our community that are dealing with things like that. And then I just wanted to speak very briefly about something that was referenced earlier in terms of any sort of voting being taken away from boards like the planning and zoning. I would be fully opposed to anything like that happening in our community. I believe the fact that we are a city that was the first city in the I think country, definitely state, but I believe country that went into receivership, it is imperative that we work to ensure that we are always above board. We don't need anybody to be looking that there could be something going on. So please keep your boards in place as they are. I believe you do have those checks and balances by having all residents open to apply for open positions and then having the city manager interview and then from there present them to you as a council to vote whether or not somebody should be on said board. It would be great if we had more people volunteering for these boards, but it is volunteering, and I know that a lot of members don't feel that they have the time to come and do that. While I can see the interest in potentially paying boards for the amount of time that we are putting, I personally believe, as one of our board members, and I've been doing it for 4 years, I would prefer to do it for free because we're doing it because we care about the city. And I think that's an important thing for us to keep in mind. I know other communities do pay certain boards, but I think given our history, it's important for us to just try to keep everybody in check, make sure we continue to have checks and balances so we don't have those problems of the past. Thank you.
Anyone else here for public speaking?
Hi, my name is Elsa Hernandez, and she's Maria Torres. We live at 128 Shurleaf Street. Good evening, city councilors. Some of you might know me, probably some of you don't know me, but our situation is different. We are facing eviction. She lives on 128 Shurleaf Signs. ¿Desde cuándo vive usted ahí?
Desde el 2001.
She lives on 128 Shurleaf Signs 2001. Okay, so I'm living there since 2016. Our building was sold on June. Yes. The first thing that we received was like increased rent for 3,800. Right now I'm paying $3,500, $3,100 and $700 at once. So the lady sent us a letter, and then she said if we don't agree, she's gonna take us to court. So now we're in a process for the summons to court. And it's sad because I don't wanna leave Chelsea. She don't wanna move. It's pretty much the stressful situation. She requested ISD to went to her apartment. They didn't show up to her apartment. And La Colaborativa submit all the inspections. So it was weird. They only came to my apartment and the third floor. Her apartment has holes on the ceiling, on the bathroom, mold, black mold, like the floor is all like pretty nasty, pretty much. Ana Sofia, she's working with us, La Colaborativa, but we don't know what we're gonna do to this point. So we really need help. We don't know what to do. And you're in my district, maybe you guys can, maybe we can like at least rely on City Hall. This is our last resource. Because why I gotta move from Chelsea to East Boston? I found an apartment there, but I don't wanna move there. My kids are like Chelsea residents. Me and myself. Her daughter, like pretty much she get pregnant in that house, and then that's the only apartment that she knows for her entire life. So it's no fear. So our apartment have roaches, mice, big rats in the backyard that you can like see them, like you confuse them with the cats at nighttime, but like it's nasty. And this lady, she pretty much increased the rent. That's a good way to say you guys are getting evicted, pretty much. So I don't know how the city can help on this case. Or either we go to the court and get evicted, or fight to the end, or I don't know. We don't know the answer. Thank you.
Gracias. Thank you. Muchas gracias. Is there anyone else?
Hello, my name's Duron Hines. I live at 19 Eleanor Street. First and foremost, I want to empathize with everybody who spoke. I don't think anybody should have to live in harsh conditions in housing that isn't affordable, or be fearful of speaking, be in fear of speaking for fear of retaliation from landlord owners. That's definitely not a condition that people should live in. I also want to echo several sentiments that have been mentioned by many of the residents here. I think one thing that has been a theme that I've been hearing, and it was mentioned several times, is the point of civic engagement and how it's not often taught to people in our community, in the school systems, even in our neighborhoods, you know. I'm having conversations with neighbors and people in the community who didn't even know that there was an opportunity like Boston Provisions that was coming to the city, who didn't even know that there would be opportunities for employment or economic mobility. And I think it is the responsibility of the council and everybody in the city to be more proactive in civics and in encouraging people to get more involved in what's going on outside of election cycles. I think it is a duty to know what's going on in the city, in the communities that we are serving regularly, and not just when it's time to, you know, push for votes, you know. So I definitely want to encourage everybody, the council and the community, to continue to have more conversations with the communities that we are serving, with the communities that we are a part of, and keep people informed in this process. Because as I'm having conversations with people, the common sentiments are, I don't do politics, or, you know, I don't do, but right here, this directly impacts people every day. And it's important to be more proactive in supporting people from the community to be able to make decisions and to come here and advocate on behalf of projects that they might think would benefit them, rather than being retroactive in the engagement and waiting for people to come to us. And that's all I wanted to say.
Buenas noches.
Buenas noches.
Mi nombre es Diana. Soy madre soltera de una niña de 14 años. En este momento estoy atravesando una situación de cáncer de mama. Se me ha dificultado mucho trabajar.
Good evening. I'm a single mother. I have a 14-year-old daughter. I'm currently going through breast cancer, and it has been very difficult to work.
Hace un mes hice entrega de un apartamento porque me tuve que desplazar porque no tengo cómo pagar renta y fui a buscar un apartamento más económico.
1 month ago, I had to leave my apartment because I didn't have a way to pay rent, and I had to find a cheaper place to live.
Resulta que cuando le fui a entregar a la dueña del apartamento, fue difícil hacer la entrega En varias oportunidades traté de citarla.
When I went to hand over my keys, it was really hard. I tried to schedule several different appointments.
El 1 de septiembre tenía que entregarle el apartamento. Ese día se encontraba paseando, me dijo que no me podía atender. Al otro día perdí mi día de trabajo para poder contactarme con ella 7 de la mañana.
On September 2nd, I was supposed to give my keys, but the landlord was away. The next day, I missed work, but she wasn't able to receive them.
A las 7 de la mañana me dijo que no podía, que estaba muy ocupada. Me dijo que nos encontráramos a las 3 de la tarde.
At 7 in the morning, she told me that she couldn't pick up the keys that day. She told me she'd meet me at 3 in the afternoon.
Estuve puntual a las 3 de la tarde. Me volvió a decir, no te puedo atender, estoy muy ocupada. Entonces le fui a entregar el apartamento. No quería hacer la inspección en presencia mía.
At 3 p.m., she told me that she wasn't available. So I went to give my keys, but she didn't want to do a final inspection in person.
Sin embargo, siempre pues discutimos ahí en el apartamento, porque yo le dije que tenía que sacar el momento para yo poder entregarle las llaves y entregar el apartamento y ella hacerme la devolución del depósito de $2,100 que me tenía.
Still, I spoke to her that she needed to come get the keys to do the inspection and so that she could give me my deposit of $2,100 that she owed me.
En el momento de las 3 de la tarde trató de hacer una inspección rápida y no quiso, detenerse con detalles ni con nada. Yo lo que le dije era que si ella no sacaba el tiempo, yo cuando saliera de esa puerta no tenía cómo decirle que le iba a aceptar si resultaba algún daño.
She tried to do a hasty inspection, but she didn't want to stop and look at details. What I told her was that she wasn't going to be able to see the issues and give back the deposit.
El apartamento traté de entregarlo lo mejor que pude, en lo que yo sabía que tenía responsabilidad en limpieza, en todo estar limpio, en todo estar bueno, pero ella no quiso hacer la inspección y el viernes me resultó con una cantidad de gastos donde prácticamente son $1,400 que me está cobrando de gastos.
When I gave up the apartment, I tried to leave it in as best condition as possible because I know it's my responsibility to leave it clean. But that Friday, I found myself with a bill of almost $1,400.
Me dijo que solamente me devolvía $600. Entonces hay un montón de gastos y daños y cosas que no estaban en el momento en que yo le entregué a ella. Entonces no hemos podido contactar con ella, la llamamos, no nos quiere contestar el teléfono.
Ana Sofia, I just want to repeat, but please do give your last words. Gracias.
So she was only going to return $600 and was alleging a bunch of conditions that weren't there when I tried to hand back the keys to the apartment.
Entonces acudí a la colaborativa para que ellos me ayuden a solucionar, a contactar a la propietaria, a mirar si se hace una conciliación porque no he podido y no puedo perder mi dinero porque soy una mamá que estoy enferma. Y de verdad que esos son prácticamente como los ahorros para poder seguir pagando renta.
So I went to La Colaborativa to see if I could get help because the truth is that that money is my savings. I'm sick and a single mother, and that's what I need to be able to continue to pay my rent.
Gracias.
No sé de qué manera también ustedes puedan colaborar. Yo digo que ella también debe tener sus reglas, así como nosotros también las tenemos, y que tenemos que cumplir también unos reglamentos y unos requisitos. yo creo que ella también debe tener su ley.
Gracias.
Know how you all could help me. I believe that just like we have responsibilities and rules that we have to comply with, that she, the owner, should also have to comply with rules and responsibilities and laws.
My name's Kyle. You remember, I wasn't going to say anything, but after the stories, like, I'd come up here honestly and truly and could say wholeheartedly after the last week, there was words of those kinds of jobs coming here, or we were in a good economic situation, I believe City Council Tishi said, and we just heard stories of rats, roaches, mice, rodents, bed bugs, breast cancer. She can't afford $600. I can't sit here and respect the due process and think, oh, you guys will make a right decision for them based on the decision that was made last week. That's just inconsistent. But it is the truth. Those are the kind of jobs that we did reject. Now, the process played out how it played out. I won't speak to that, but I will say that to listen to these stories now and then to go back 1 week, if you could go in there and shake their hands and say, hey, I did the, you know, I'm here with you. It's easy now when they're here, right? It's very easy right now. But last week when it was tough, that wasn't reflected. Actually, what happened was people went up there and said the opposite. And I get it. I would never want to be in you guys' position, and I respect what you guys do day in and day out, week in and week out. But with that being said, there are a core group of constituents in this community, a large number of underprivileged, impoverished, suffering. They got the pictures. She has a rat in a mice suit on right now. Suffering. But the complaints of noise or industrial trucking in an industrially zoned area outswarm that. That doesn't make sense. That doesn't add up. That does not equate. She is looking for $600, going through chemotherapy. Where does this, how? And then to add on to that, to look to you guys to correct that under due process, I don't have the confidence. So I just wanted to voice that, and yeah, have a good night.
One last call. Anyone else?
Hi, my name is Mayra Valderas, and I live in Addison Street. I just want to say that this issue is not just now. This issue is happening since long time ago. And I think, I know that we are working to change, and we have been changing a lot, but we need to work very hard because this issue of rats, mice, and bed bugs is happening I've been living in Chelsea since 1988, and I know it's happening since then. So I think we should focus on what we need to focus and what is really hurting their constituents, and especially putting these laws for owners, mostly like, you know, the ones that they're not living in the properties, because sometimes those ones are the worst because they don't take care of the places. So thank you so much, and I think, you know, we can make the difference and we can do something. Thank you.
Final call. Any more speakers? All right, public speaking portion is now closed. I would like to just take 1 second, as I usually do, to first thank everyone in this space for coming out and sharing your thoughts, sharing your frustrations. We signed up for these positions. Whether you are happy with us or not happy with us, we are here to listen, okay? The way public speaking works, we're not able to deliberate on these things. The way the agendas work is we put in motions so that then we can have longer conversations in the room next door. And so I encourage you all to please not end the conversation here, but reach out to your city councilor, reach out to your at-large councilors. Those conversations can continue, whether you want them to be in the city hall or whether you want to have a one-on-one. I think that this is the way that we can get to some solutions and be able to address these very important topics that came up tonight. And I hope that we continue to see full house in this room, because that is what this room is for. Thank you. Moving on now to approval of the minutes.
Want to give them time to clear up? Want to give them time to clear up?
You know what, Counselor? Let's give it 1 second until the crowd comes out. That way the audio is better. I know. My apologies.
Just let them clear up.
1 second. All right, we're going to continue now with the rest of the agenda. If I can ask my colleagues, if you stepped out, to please return. And then for anyone in the audience, if you are having side conversations, if you can please take it out into the hallway so that we can continue with the matters on the agenda.
Good to go?
Okay. All right, let's get this going then. Now, approval of the minutes.
Move to approve the minutes from the September 8th regular meeting. If there are no objections.
Thank you, Counselor. Seeing no objections, moving on to communications from the city manager.
First communication received requesting approval of donations from Mill Hill Fire Station gym equipment. Dear councilors, pursuant to Section Mass General Law, Chapter 44, Section 53A 1-2, I am writing to request the City Council formally approve the donation of gym equipment for the Mill Hill Fire Station. Bobby Cobb, owner of Today's Auto, has generously offered to donate gym equipment valued at $9,814.98.
Madam President, move to waive the rest of the reading and accept and file under communication if there are no objections. Something's coming up under new business.
Seeing no objections, Counselor, thank you. Moving on.
Next communication received requesting approval of budget transfers. Dear councilors, I respectfully submit for your consideration the approval of 2 transfers necessary to resolve outstanding grant compliant issues and maintain progress on critical infrastructure projects. Number 1, Island and River LDPDM grant match in the amount of $116,621. In the early stages of the Island and River project, funds that appeared available in 2 older CIP lines were incorrectly identified as eligible match for the FEMA LPDM grant. Those funds were already encumbered and ultimately expended on existing contracts, leaving a $116,621 shortfall. To ensure compliance, the city temporarily used funds designated as match for our MVP grant. This transfer is needed to reimburse the MVP match account and fully restore compliance for both grants. Number 2, Beecham and Williams Corridor EDA grant closeout in the amount of $66,096.12. During the closeout of the grant, supporting the full depth reconstruction of the Beecham and Williams Corridor, it was determined that certain costs had been incorrectly charged to the grant account by a prior administrator. These costs were not eligible for reimbursement under the grant terms. To properly close out the grant and remain in compliance, the city must assume these costs by increasing its match contribution. While this correction is necessary, the project itself was successfully completed and continues to provide major benefits to the community. We have identified unused capital improvement plan lines which are no longer needed for the projects they originally funded and
Madam
propose-
President, move to waive the rest of the reading, accept and file under communication if there are no objections.
Seeing no objections, thank you, Counselor. Moving on.
Next communication received announcing a community meeting for Everett Soccer Stadium. Dear councilors, I am writing to share that our state representative, Judith Garcia, and our state senator, Sal DiDomenico, will be hosting a community meeting on August 7th, 2025 at 6 p.m. in our Chelsea Senior Center to discuss the proposed soccer stadium in Everett. This community meeting is very important to begin the discussions on this transformational project. We encourage everyone in our community to join and participate.
Move to accept and file under communication if there are no objections.
Seeing no objections, moving on to the next item.
Next communication received, extending an invitation to tour Chelsea City Yard at 380 Beecham Street. Dear councilors, we are very excited to meet with the Public Works Committee to dive into the details of our upcoming renovations at the Chelsea City Yard. In addition, we would like to invite the City Council and members of the public to visit the facility and meet with our staff. We will be advertising 3 meeting dates: Tuesday, October 7th at 12 p.m., Wednesday, October 8th at 2 p.m., and Tuesday, October 14th at 6 p.m. Our Department of Public Works will be available to answer any questions and, more importantly, highlight the deficiencies in the building prompting this renovation. We will have light refreshments available for anyone that attends. Thank you for your support, and we look forward to seeing you there.
Thank you, Counselor. Seeing no objections, moving right along.
Next communication received from the city manager responding to Council Order 2586, request for feasibility study of stipends. Dear councilors, I am writing in response to Council Order 2586, requesting that the city manager complete a feasibility study on providing stipends to appointed residents on the Planning Board and Zoning Board of Appeals. Our administration is excited and supportive of this council order. Our initial research found that many of our neighboring cities and towns offer stipends to appointed residents. Many communities, like Somerville, give stipends to several boards not referenced in the council order. Specifically, we propose a stipend for the Licensing Commission, Youth Commission, Traffic and Parking Commission, and the Board of Health, as well as the Planning Board and Zoning Board of Appeals. These boards require a significant amount of preparation, research, and long nighttime meetings. Our law department researched the process by which to make this change. The most effective way is by executive order through our administrative code.
Madam President, I'd like to waive the rest of the reading and refer this to conference committee if that is possible, if there are no objections.
Seeing no objections, Counselor. Moving on.
Please note that under 6-1 of the charter, the council has the authority to either approve the executive order, let it go, in which case it becomes adopted within 30 days, or reject the order. So if council wishes to do so,
Counselor, through the chair, please.
it would be for the administrative order attached. It's not an order. It comes through the city manager.
Point of information.
Counselor?
Can you just repeat what you just said about the process for this? Apologies.
So the process would be, as an administrative order, council has the authority to approve it earlier, should they choose, not take any action, in which case it becomes effective within 30 days of submission to council, or vote to reject the administrative order if they choose, provided it's done within 30 days. So if this,
Counselor, through the chair, please. I believe that Counselor Jimenez has the floor right now.
according to the communication, the city manager is requesting a subcommittee first in order to discuss it beforehand. The administrative order before you is technically a draft, if I stand corrected. So his request is subcommittee, and I would recommend it as well.
Okay.
Same motion, yes. Move to conference.
Moving on to the next motion, order.
Administrative order referred to conference. Next, communication received from the city manager responding to Council Order 2588, requesting update on Veterans Home and Market Basket Project. Dear councilors, I am writing in response to Council Order 2588, requesting an update on the Veterans Home and Market Basket projects. Our team recently held a meeting with Penrose, the developer of the project. Penrose estimates closing on financing for the project in October of 2025. Once financing is complete, the project will begin. At this time, Penrose estimates construction to begin in December of 2025 for Phase 1 and construction to begin in 2026 for Phase 2. These first two phases will build 150 housing units and will allow residents to move into the new apartments from existing buildings. Phase 3 and Phase 4 will begin once those relocations are complete. Attached to this communication is a detailed presentation from Penrose giving an update on the project. Our team continues to meet with Market Basket on a proposed redevelopment of the Mystic Mall. Our last meeting was very productive and resulted in very good discussions on the project. Market Basket is making some modifications to their proposal. Once those modifications are received, we will share them with council.
Accept and file a communication under suspension if there are no objections. in regards to Penrose and the veterans, I've been speaking to a bunch of the veterans that have some issues that they've raised with me, and I will be meeting with Secretary Santiago soon to discuss some of the concerns that were raised with the veterans. One of my concerns relates to the food that they're going to be providing to the veterans, and I want to make sure that they're going to get 3 meals a day as opposed to 2. And Market Basket is moving ahead kind of as scheduled, so it's something to keep an eye on to make sure that we keep it moving.
Thank you, Counselor. Moving on to the next item.
Next communication received, responding to Council Order 2589, request for update on Malone Park. Dear Councilors, I'm writing in response to Council Order 2589, requesting an update on Malone Park. The Veterans Home is collaborating with the state's Division of Capital Asset Management and Maintenance on these projects. DCAMM anticipates that they will start to work on the Quigley Building in February of 2026 and estimate the work to take 18 months from the start date. Restoration of Malone Park will begin towards the end of the project after the Quigley Building has been demolished and the new parking lot is constructed in that location. This time frame is subject to change if they run into unanticipated issues and/or delays. We will remain in close contact with the Veterans Home and DCAMM as they proceed with this work.
I accept and file a communication on the suspension. Just briefly, I did meet with the director last Saturday up at the park to talk about when the building was going to come down, and hopefully that we won't run into any issues so that the park can get back to the neighborhood.
Thank you, Counselor. Moving on to the next item.
Next communication received, responding to Council Order 2591, sign for Latimer Place. Dear Councilors, I am writing in response to Council Order 2591, requesting that the Department of Public Works install a street sign for Latimer Place. Our Commissioner of Public Works has received this request, and the sign has been ordered. The sign will be installed as soon as it is received. Thank you for your ongoing support.
Accept and file a communication on the suspension of no objections, and actually the sign will be going up tomorrow.
Thank you, Counselor. Moving on to committee reports.
We have one final communication from the City
My
Manager,
apologies.
requesting authorization to execute memorandum of understanding with MAPC for the Greater Boston Regional Offsite Construction Strategy. Dear Councilors, enclosed, please find a draft memorandum of understanding between the City of Chelsea and the Metropolitan Area Planning Council. The purpose of this MOU is to formalize the city's participation in the Greater Boston Regional Offsite Construction Strategy, a regional initiative supported by the HUD PRO Housing Grant. The strategy seeks to accelerate affordable housing production through modular and offsite construction methods by developing a pipeline of regional modular housing projects, advancing zoning and permitting reform, supporting the setting of a regional manufacturing facility, promoting workforce development and good jobs, and engaging community stakeholders across Greater Boston. At this stage, the MOU requires no financial commitment from the city. It represents a pledge of staff participation, data sharing, and engagement with MAPC during the project's planning phase. Any future obligations, such as local funding contributions, land disposition, or zoning amendments, would be returned to the Council for review and approval through subsequent MOU amendments. Accordingly, I respectfully request the City Council authorize the City Manager to execute this memorandum of understanding on behalf of the City of Chelsea. Thank you for your consideration.
Thank you, Clerk.
Madam President, just point of order, can we act on this today, or is this something that needs to be referred for second reading?
Memorandums of understanding don't require second reading, if Council chooses.
I would move to.
Do you wish to open up to speak on it and maybe clarify for the public? Because I think this
Sure.
one's a really important one that
Yeah.
we should. Or it's coming up under new business, so I mean, whether you do it now or later.
Oh, so the MOU is coming late. Okay, got it. I'll hold off. I'll accept and file a communication and then speak on it later when it comes up.
Okay. All right. Thank you, Counselor.
We received one late communication, unanimous consent required for approval.
Counselors?
Move to approve the late communication.
Seeing no objections.
Council, you received a late communication from Joan Cromwell, a Chelsea resident and member of the Planning Zoning Board, regarding interference with due process and abuse of authority by council. Dear
Madam
members,
President, I'd like to waive the rest of the reading. Ms. Cromwell spoke at public comment and basically read the letter, so I think we can dispense with reading it again. Just want to thank Ms. Cromwell and everybody else who came to speak on the topic. Thank you.
Point of information.
Counselor.
There's a late communication from me too.
Counselor Robinson, and then
So it's going to be part of the record?
Correct.
Yes.
Thank you.
Counselor Requena. Okay.
You have a late order, not communication.
Right. It'll come up. Okay. Yeah.
Correct. We have one committee report received from Councilor Taylor from the meeting of the Subcommittee on Ways and Means held September 16th, 2025.
Is there a motion?
Motion to accept and file the committee report. I'd like to speak on it, please.
You have the floor, Counselor.
Okay. It was only two orders that we discussed in Ways and Means. The first had to do with accepting donations for the trip to Denver for our All-American City team. And the second one was a transfer of $103,000 and change it was for the Commonwealth Transportation Infrastructure Fund and sidewalk account. Transportation network companies like Uber, Lyft are required to pay the Commonwealth 20 cents per ride assessment, and 1/2 of that assessment is distributed proportionally to each city and town based upon the number of rides that originate in the municipality. And for the calendar year 2024, Chelsea's share based upon the TNC company ride originated in Chelsea was $103,714.70. That's a lot of rides. So that's the conclusion of the report. Thank you.
Thank you, Counselor. Moving on to second readings.
First item under second readings, we have a communication received from the city manager being read for the second time, requesting approval of appointment to the City of Chelsea's ADA coordinator. Dear councilors, pursuant to Section 4-2 of the Charter of the City of Chelsea, I am writing to recommend that Bernabe Rodriguez, our Director of Constituent Services, be appointed as the City of Chelsea's Section 504 ADA coordinator. Our Director of Constituent Services will serve the city well in this role and has close to 10 years of municipal experience working directly with residents. This term will expire September 8th, 2028. I respectfully request your approval of this appointment.
We'll ask for a roll call vote on the adoption if there are no objections.
Seeing none of, moving on to roll call vote.
Roll call vote requested. Yes vote to confirm. Councilor Tenari Garcia?
Yes.
Councilor Jimenez Rivera?
Yes.
Councilor Recupero?
Yes.
Councilor Taylor?
Yes.
Councilor Robinson?
Yes.
Councilor Tesh?
Yes.
Councilor Kelly Garcia is absent. Councilor Santiago?
Yes.
Councilor Vega?
Yes.
Councilor Brown?
Yes.
And Councilor De Jesus?
Yes.
10 members in favor, 0 opposed, 1 absent. Appointment approved.
Moving on to the next item.
Next second reading, we have a communication received from the city manager being read for the second time, requesting approval of reappointment to the planning board. Dear councilors, pursuant to Section 4-2 of the Charter of the City of Chelsea, I am writing to recommend the following individual to a board or commission in the city. For reappointment to the planning board, Mr. Eric Cernicer of Chelsea for a new 3-year term expiring October 4, 2028.
Make a motion to accept under roll call vote for adoption, if there's no objection.
Seeing none, moving on to a roll call vote.
Roll call vote requested. Yes vote to adopt. Councilor Tenari Garcia?
Yes.
Councilor Jimenez Rivera?
Yes.
Councilor Recupero?
Yes.
Councilor Taylor?
Yes.
Councilor Robinson?
Yes.
Councilor Tesh?
Yes.
Councilor Kelly Garcia is absent. Councilor Santiago?
Yes.
Councilor Vega?
Yes.
Councilor
I'm
Brown?
sorry.
Yes.
Okay.
The
I
opposite.
was waiting on, she's,
It's all right, I'll be wrong today.
I'm ready.
Councilor De Jesus?
Yes.
10 members voting in favor, 0
you.
opposed,
Sorry
1
about
absent. Reappointment approved.
All right, thank you, clerk. Moving on to the next item.
Thanks, guys.
Congratulations.
Thanks, sir.
Next item under second readings, we have an order introduced by Councilor Taylor being read for the second time. Ordered that pursuant to Mass General Law, Chapter 44, Section 53A 1-2, the Chelsea City Council accepts the following donations toward the All-American City trip taken June 2025. Global Partners in the amount of $1,810 for T-shirts. Robert Waters in the amount of $1,265 for hoodies. Boston Provisions in the amount of $2,257 for transportation shuttle. Pre-flight airport parking in the amount of $130 for airport parking. Jordan Boys and Girls Club in the amount of $30 for Chelsea Palante pins. CRG Graphics for Discover Chelsea bags and flags. Mass General Brigham Healthy Chelsea for stress balls. Matt Frank for event photography. Chelsea Public Schools for stress balls, hand sanitizer, pens, wristbands, and highlighters. And the Chelsea Police Department for police challenge coins.
Ask that the order be adopted under roll call vote. If there's no objection, please, Mr. Chair.
Seeing no objections, moving on to a roll call vote.
Yes vote to adopt. Councilor Tenari Garcia.
Yes.
Councilor Jimenez Rivera.
Yes.
Councilor Recupero.
Yes.
Councilor Taylor.
Yes.
Councilor Robinson.
Yes.
Councilor Tesh.
Yes.
Councilor Kelly Garcia is absent. Councilor Sandigan.
Yes.
Councilor Vega.
Yes.
Councilor Brown.
Yes.
And Councilor De Jesus.
Yes.
10 in favor, 0 opposed, 1 absent. Order adopted.
Thank you, Clerk. Moving on to the last item on the section.
We have an order introduced by Councilor Taylor being read for the second time. Order that the Chelsea City Council authorize the appropriation of $103,714.70 as a transfer from Special Revenue TNC Surcharge Distribution Fund from funds distributed to Chelsea from the Commonwealth Transportation Infrastructure Fund in order to supplement fiscal year 2026 DPW Streets and Sidewalks Capital Road Improvements line to be used for the purpose of sidewalk and roadway repair and improvement.
Thank you, Clerk. Is there a motion?
Move to adopt under roll call vote, please.
Thank you, Counselor. Seeing no objections, moving on to a roll call vote.
Yes vote to adopt. Councilor Tenari Garcia.
Yes.
Councilor Jimenez Rivera.
Yes.
Councilor Recupero.
Yes.
Councilor Taylor.
Yes.
Councilor Robinson.
Yes.
Councilor Tesh.
Yes.
Councilor Kelly Garcia is absent. Councilor Santigat.
Yes.
Councilor Vega.
Yes.
Councilor Brown.
Yes.
And Councilor De Jesus.
Yes.
10 in favor, 0 opposed, 1 absent. Order is adopted.
Thank you, Clerk. Now on to new business.
First item under new business, we have an order introduced by Councilor Taylor. Order that pursuant to Mass General Law, Chapter 44, Section 53A1-2, the Chelsea City Council accepts the donation of gym equipment and related items from Bobby Cobb, owner of Today's Auto, sourced through Gronk Fitness, in the amount of $9,814.98 for the Chelsea Fire Department. List of donated items include squat rack, dumbbells, pull-up bar, bumper plates, ski ERG, plyo box, medicine balls, exercise bands, and functional trainer.
Thank you, Clerk.
Move to Ways and Means Committee.
Seeing no objections, moving on to the next item.
Next, we have an order introduced by Councilor Taylor. Order that in accordance with Chapter 44, Section 20 of Mass General Law, the sum of $182,717.12 represented unexpended portions of projects appropriated under fiscal years 2021 and 2022 capital improvement plans for projects as noted below, and which remain available after the completion of the projects for which the funds were authorized and which are no longer needed, are hereby transferred in the amount of $116,621 to the FY 2024 CIP Island and River Flood Resiliency Project account in the amount of $66,096.12 to FY 2021 CIP Beecham Williams Corridor Reconstruction Project. The remaining balance of $87,887.88 of the FY 2021 Upper Broadway Easements Project will be held to finish paying outstanding balances for easements and acquisitions along Upper Broadway.
Thank you, Clerk.
Move to Ways and Means.
Seeing no objections, moving on to the next item.
Next, we have an order introduced by Councilor Brown. Order that the city manager instruct the Department of Public Works to install "Don't Block the Box" signage and street markings at the intersection of Everett Avenue and 4th Street.
Adopt this order under suspension if there's no objection.
Seeing none. Thank you, Counselor. Moving on.
Next, we have an order introduced by the Council President regarding an authorization to execute a memorandum of understanding with MAPC for the Greater Boston Regional Offsite Construction Strategy. Whereas the Chelsea City Council finds it is in the best interest of the City of Chelsea to participate in the Greater Boston Regional Offsite Construction Strategy, and to that end deems it necessary and appropriate to authorize the city manager to execute a memorandum of understanding with the Metropolitan Area Planning Council on behalf of the city. Now therefore be it resolved that the Chelsea City Council hereby authorizes the city manager to execute a memorandum of understanding with the Metropolitan Area Planning Council for the Greater Boston Regional Offsite Construction Strategy, in substantially the form presented to the City Council, and to take any and all actions necessary to effectuate the purposes thereof.
Councilor Jimenez.
Move to adopt the memorandum of understanding by roll call vote, and I'd like to speak on it.
You have the floor.
So I just want to just really quickly, right, so essentially we are voting to allow the city to enter into the Greater Boston Regional Offsite Construction Strategy, which is a regional initiative to accelerate affordable housing production, right? This MOU is very clear that it requires no financial commitments from the city. So it's really just a pledge of our staff, our data, and engaging with this project to make sure that we can further our housing needs. I just want to really quickly say the housing crisis is not a crisis that Chelsea is facing alone. It is regional, and our neighboring communities are in it with us. That means that the solutions to the housing crisis are not Chelsea alone. They have to be regional. So I fully support the work that is going to be discussed here. And I just also want to say this is happening with or without us. So if we want to have a seat at the table, we should join it now. And if there's any decisions for asks for funding or anything like that, we can evaluate them later on once the city actually asks us for the funding. So I hope that my colleagues will support it.
Councilor Taylor.
So I think that this, I generally don't have a problem with this, but there's been no opportunity to discuss this amongst ourselves about what the memorandum of understanding is actually going to say, what it is, you know, and I'm reticent to give my consent to something that we have never talked about before. So, you know, this may all be well and good, but I would like to actually have a conversation about this, and I don't think it's very responsible to ask counselors to vote on something that we've never discussed. So I would ask to move this to conference, please.
Thank you, Councilor. Okay.
What's the motion?
I would still like to move forward with the roll call vote if possible. For the reasons that I stated, I believe that the councilors' concerns are not important to consider, but also we are not committing anything other than staff time at this point. So I think that any conversation about what it would mean is something that can be had after approval of this without needing to delay this any further. So that's just my take on it.
Okay, so Clerk. if I
Madam
can
President, I would like to speak again since he spoke twice, please.
Okay, give me 1 second, Councilor. Clerk, could we get a point of clarity here in terms of the motion was laid out? There was another request to amend or to send to a conference. Does it go back to?
The request for a roll call vote was made. Subsidiary motion was made to refer to conference instead. The motion to resolve has to be regarding whether or not to refer to conference or not. Once Councilor Taylor's motion is resolved one way or the other, if it's rejected, then we move back to the original motion to adopt it by roll call vote. So the motion pending is whether to move it to conference or not. To confirm, you made a motion to move it to conference, correct?
Correct.
It was, yeah, so that's the motion pending on the floor now.
Okay.
And if it's objected to, then it'll be a roll call vote on the motion to refer. And if that motion is rejected, then the original motion stands to adopt by roll call.
So I will object to the motion to send it to conference. Okay. And happy to speak on that if that is another speaking opportunity on this motion rather than the original motion. I don't want to speak out of turn.
So then with this action, the request from Councilor Taylor is now off the table?
It is. I believe it's on the table. We will be voting on Councilor Taylor's motion to refer to conference.
Got it. Okay, Councilor Recupero, hold on 1 second. Councilor Taylor still has the floor. Councilor Taylor.
So my fellow councilor may say that there's nothing at stake here, so why don't we move along? There is indeed something at stake. We are authorizing the city manager to enter into a memorandum of understanding. We have not discussed this. This is not a responsible action, okay? We are accountable to the people. So I don't believe, it may be well and good, but I'd like to hear about it first. And just to bring something in and try to ram it through, you know, no, seriously, Counselor. One of the problems that we have here is that we don't talk to each other enough about these issues. Stuff gets brought up, whether it comes from the outside or wherever it comes from, and we're asked to vote on it without ever hearing anything or ever having a conversation. That is not good government. I am sorry. You may think it's a trivial point, Counselor. I do not. It's the principle of the thing. And we need to have a conversation about this before we authorize the city manager to do anything.
Okay,
I was mentioned.
Councilor Jimenez, and then I have Councilor Recupero and Councilor Teshi.
So I just want to make it very clear. It is actually very clear in the memorandum of understanding what the municipality is agreeing to, and I'm just, going to read it out loud so that people can understand what we are actually agreeing to. We are agreeing to participate in advisory committee or working group meetings as applicable, so staff time participating in some meetings, to designate staff to serve as project liaisons and maintain ongoing communication with MAPC, essentially being a part of this table. Supporting and actively participating in community engagement and research activities led by the table, exploring more specific commitments, which would then be defined further in future MOUs, which are not up right now, sharing local data relevant to housing production and permitting, considering and evaluating ways to contribute to this project, and facilitating connections to relevant stakeholders. These all seem like things that we do in the city day to day. I don't understand why we should be getting in the way of us continuing to do good work in order to just have a conversation about it. We can have individual conversations with the city manager if we would like to, but frankly, I don't feel like any of these things are things that I need to talk about. The city manager and the housing department have been doing this work in many ways. This is just simply formally agreeing to sit at this table. I think it would be ridiculous for us to delay this further, and we should simply come back to this when there is actually something that can be actionable. So I would ask not to send this to conference and to move it forward, because I don't see a reason why we should have a conversation to just simply go over the 7 things that I just read out loud. Thank you.
Councilor Recupero.
Madam I kind of understand and I kind of don't understand. The councilor says he wants to talk about it. Well, it makes a valid point. We should all talk about it before we vote on it. This councilor says we do that anyways. So what's the difference? So we're caught in the middle. What do we want to do? What do I want to do? Vote on it? Don't vote on it? How does it affect the people outside? That's what I'd like to know. Does this make a real difference? By him talking to them, does it make the city committed to it? Does the city have to? So, in other words, nothing happens from this. This is just saying for them to explore. So it doesn't really matter to us if we don't know nothing about it, because if something happens later on, we're going to find out, and we're going to understand what it is. So, I don't know. I'm not against talking, as long as it doesn't affect that what we say now actually goes into law. So this is not going into law about anything. This is just saying to the city manager, go and talk to them, to the people outside that don't understand. This is what this means. So that's all that means, is that we are authorizing the city manager to go talk to them. It doesn't mean that we are saying, okay, we're gonna do it. It'll come another time. So I tend to vote in favor of it, to let him go talk to it.
Councilor Teshi.
Yeah, I would just say, Councilor Taylor makes a very good, argument. We should always be discussing things before we grant the power to the city manager. In this case, there's the language that says that, if any obligations do come from these talks, then it will be up for council review and approval, even after the memorandum of understanding. So, at this stage, I would, be okay with allowing the city manager. I know he will keep us in the loop. And again, any future obligations will have the power to say whether or not we agree.
Yes, that's...
Councilor Brown.
Thank you, Madam President. I agree with the motion on the floor that we should just move forward. I actually had this over the weekend. I got my package. It gives us the purpose, it gives us the background. It's very easy read. It talks about the initiatives, it talks about, it's pretty much a think tank of organizations, a housing planning committee, council members from different regions. It's grants involved. It's really just a basic think tank. What we have to do, it's already been stated, we have to make sure that we have a personnel available. Someone, the city manager may not even be there, his delegation person may be there, a staff person. That's our commitment. There's no funding, there's no, other than the person being there, but there's no funding of anything that we have to do to establish a relationship. And if the city manager or if his delegation person finds that there's a good commitment for us, it comes back before the council and we vote on it. I think it's very harmless. Again, I understand, council wants to hold it, but again, we had it, I had it, and it was an opportunity to read it. It's only about 4 or 5 pages. Thank you.
Councillor Danaidi.
Hi. I think that being part of this table is so important for the city and informative, and it'll be a learning tool for all of us. The Greater Boston has bigger problems than we do in terms of space, and I think that being part of this table is very important, and I don't see why we should not go forward. Thank you.
Councillor Robinson.
Is there a time frame necessary for us to actually take action tonight?
Very good, Councillor. I will ask if our city manager could please. Okay.
Then I'd make a motion to lay it on the table.
Okay. Motion to lay it on the table.
I object to the motion.
Motion objected. Do we resume now to the original motion?
The motion to table now takes precedent over the motion to refer to conference.
The original motion is no longer in power. Councillor Brown, Councillor Taylor after.
All right, for time's sake, for clarity, due process, we just heard the city manager, there's really not a urgency of us to do it, but I think if we lay this on the table, that we should commit ourselves to reading, and in our next meeting, we should be able to take it over. There's not an urgency here to go forward with it? I got it on.
My apologies, but
Motion on the table.
to lay on the table is actually not debatable.
Oh, it's not? Okay, I'm sorry.
Yeah, so I do apologize. Unfortunately, we will have to continue
Requires a roll call vote.
with a roll call vote.
The motion before you is to table the underlying order. Motions to lay on the table are not debatable or amendable. Requires a full vote and majority vote of council to lay on the table. The yes vote before you will lay it on the table. Councilor Teneri Garcia?
No.
No. Councilor Jimenez Rivera?
No.
Councilor Recupero?
No.
Councilor Taylor?
Yes.
Councilor Robinson?
Yes.
Councilor Tesh?
No.
Councilor Kelly Garcia is absent. Councilor Santiago?
No.
Councilor Vega?
No.
Councilor Brown?
Yes.
And Councilor De Souza?
No.
3 members voting in favor, 7 members opposed, 1 member absent. The motion to lay on the table has been rejected. The motion now before you was the motion introduced by Councilor Taylor to refer to conference.
Councillor Taylor.
It's already been debated.
So, Councillor Taylor, this motion has already been debated.
Assuming any
Okay.
speakers are left.
Moving on to a vote.
Motion before you is a motion introduced by Councilor Taylor to refer the underlying order to conference. Majority vote required. Yes vote to adopt. And so the vote is yes to refer to conference, no vote to not refer to conference, in which case the original motion to adopt by roll call vote is before you. Councilor Tenari Garcia?
No.
No. Councilor Jimenez Rivera?
No.
Councilor Recupero? No. Councilor Taylor?
Yes.
Councilor Robinson?
I'll say yes.
Yes. Councilor Tesh?
No.
Councilor Kelly Garcia is absent. Councilor Santiago?
No.
Councilor Vega?
No.
Councilor Brown?
Yes.
And Councilor De Jesus?
No.
3 members voting in favor, 7 opposed, 1 absent. The motion to refer to conference has been rejected. You now are with the original motion introduced by Councilor Jimenez Rivera to adopt the order by roll call vote.
I have one sentence to say in addition to what has been said, if I may.
I believe that was already debated.
Okay, then no worries.
Sorry,
Thank you.
Counselor.
Unless anyone who has not spoken on that chooses
I
to speak.
would like to speak if I may get permission from my
Have to
counsel.
take a leave from the chair.
One person objected, so.
All right, let's continue with, let's let the vote speak then.
Roll call vote's been requested. Yes vote to adopt the order. Councilor Tenari Garcia?
Yes.
Councilor Jimenez Rivera?
Yes.
Councilor Recupero?
Yes.
Councilor Taylor?
No.
Councilor Robinson?
Yes.
Councilor Tesh?
Yes.
Councilor Kelly Garcia is absent. Councilor Santiago?
Yes.
Councilor Vega?
Yes.
Councilor Brown?
Yes.
And Councilor De Jesus?
Yes.
9 members voting in favor, 1 opposed and 1 absent. Order adopted.
Thank you, Clerk. For the public, I would like to provide some content. Earlier today, we heard about conditions in housing, and we also heard several folks talk about how the housing crisis is very complex. We cannot resolve it with just one individual policy, and that is why, as a council, at the beginning of this term, we made priorities. This here order that we just voted on is one of those priorities that we all agreed on, and so I look forward to continuing to work with my colleagues and our city manager to improve the housing crisis in Chelsea. Moving on to the next item.
Next item under new business, we have an order introduced by Councilor Recupero. Order that the city manager instruct the Department of Public Works Commissioner to create and implement a routine inspection plan with the city's third-party contractor to ensure streetlights are checked periodically and ensure they are proper working condition.
Adopt under suspension, there's no objection, I'd like to speak on it.
You have the floor, Councilor.
This order, what it actually does is it makes sure that a lot of the street lights that are not working are working. There's always issues with street lights, and there's always issues that come up. Is it the city's problem, or is it Eversource problem? So people that have these lights that don't work, what they have to do is go out, get the number of the pole, and call city, call the DPW and say, and then DPW finds out if it's the problem with the city or the problem with Eversource. But we have a private contractor, which the name is Daigle. We already paid them. So why not make them earn their money? Go out and periodically inspect all the street lights and come back and say to the city manager, this is your problem we can fix, this is Eversource problem, they gotta fix it. So there's nothing wrong with instructing them to go out and inspect these lights. We're already paying them, they work for us, so it's no extra cost. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor. Moving on to the next item.
Next order introduced by Councilor Recupero. Order that the city manager work with relevant city departments to implement a policy to charge a fee for replacement trash barrels unless the homeowner or resident returns the existing barrel regardless of its condition.
Adopt under suspension with an objection, I'd like to speak on it.
Councilor Recupero.
Okay, I've been having some issues with people calling me, telling me that there's people that actually sell these barrels or use them for other businesses. So what this does is it ensures that these barrels will stay within the city itself. Not only that, no one's gonna get charged anything for a barrel if they can't produce the barrel that's broken. If you cannot produce the barrel that's broken, then you pay for it. Why should we? I believe that if, you know, I understand some councils might not agree, right? But here's the whole thing about that. You ain't gonna pay nothing for your trash barrel if your barrel is broken and you say to the city, I want my barrel replaced. So you go and replace it. But if you turn around and say, well, my barrel is lost, okay, so where is your barrel? How'd your barrel get lost? Well, the trash man threw it away. Where's your other barrel going? You know, there's an issue with that.
Okay.
So that is the whole problem. If you can produce your barrel, you won't get charged. There's no big thing about that. Produce your barrel and you get a new one. Thank you.
Councilor Jimenez.
I would just like the city manager to make sure that in that process that we better understand, what happens if it was stolen and, something like that, just to make sure that, we're not just causing people additional annoyances in their life. So I'm not necessarily opposed to this. I'm just want to make sure that when this is thought through by the city manager and the administration, that we take that into consideration as well.
Thank you, Councilor. Councilor Sandegate.
I just wanted to also say that we have, where we live, have had our barrels stolen. We wouldn't have been able to produce them, and I think that the replacement cost is quite high, so we would have to come up with a system where if it was stolen, and it was, I have no idea why anyone would have taken it, but yet it was gone.
Councilor, through the chair, please.
So I understand if people are selling them and it's a huge cost to the city, but it's not always that's what's happening. So I don't know what solution we can come up with, but we have to have some provision for people whose barrels get stolen, that they don't need to replace them with an $80 barrel.
Councilor Taylor.
I would respectfully say that I don't think that the selling of barrels illegally is a major problem in this city. It may happen occasionally, and if it does, I would refer them to the Chelsea Police Department so that they can be criminally prosecuted, instead of trying to change the policy for a few things. That doesn't make a whole lot of sense to me. I think more or less sometimes they do get stolen because somebody needs an extra barrel and they, don't know the procedure or don't know that they can just call the city and get one. They take their neighbors. So, I would suggest that if anybody's concerned about their barrels being taken and then being sold for profit to other businesses, call the Chelsea Police Department and report it. Thank you.
Councilor Recupero.
I don't disagree with what the councilor said. The only thing this does is it makes the city manager look into a way. Maybe there's a way when these happen for us to remedy the situation instead of doing all this, But that's all that is to him look into the idea to see, when these things happen, because more or less it's the cost of the taxpayers too. The more barrels disappear or get moved around, the more it costs us. So what the whole thing is for the city manager to look into it to see if we can find some sort of solution to remedy the situation. That's all that says.
Okay, one more comment from Councilor Brown, and then we're moving on to the next order.
Thank you, Madam President. I agree with the council. I mean, it's only a concept of just trying to figure out, because if folks are really stealing the barrels and it becomes an issue and people feel that, hey, the city will not mind if someone steals a barrel and the next person go get a barrel. I mean, I like the concept of just looking to see if we can track and see how many of these barrels are really we're talking about and what areas, and also what's happened to these barrels that's getting missing. So it's worth a conversation. We just got a constituent person here with the city manager's office. Maybe he or she can do it, maybe DPW, but it does warrant some kind of consideration. Thank you.
All right, colleagues, I trust that the city departments will find our barrel thief, and so we should move on to the next item.
Next order introduced by Councilor Recupero. Order that the city manager initiate negotiations to lease or purchase the St. Rose property for the development of a community center.
Adopt under suspension. Is there no objection? I'd like to speak on it.
You have the floor, Councilor.
For a very long time, since I've been here, I've been trying to get a community center. And there doesn't seem to be much places to get a community center. I know the city was in negotiation once before when we had the former city manager. He was in negotiation with St. Rose to produce some sort of community center. But St. Rose didn't agree to sell it at that particular time. So I was wondering, since this city desperately needs a community center, it does need one, and it was all over the place that it does need one. Even when the Hopper funds, when they had the Hopper funds, they decided that this city is large enough to have a community center, and we're probably the only city in the whole area around here that doesn't have a community center. East Boston has one, Revere has one, Malden has one, Everett has one. We are the only one that do not have one. So it will be kind of logical for the city manager to talk to St. Rose. Whatever costs, it costs. I don't know what it is and how much it is. I think it's well worth it for us to invest in the future of our community to the children, the adults, and everybody that uses it. So I would encourage the city manager and ask them, see if they're willing to sell it at this particular time, because they weren't willing to sell it the last time. Thank you.
Councilor Jimenez.
I would like to move to suspend the rules and ask the city manager if he would like to comment at all. He is totally free to say no, but I am curious if, no, I say no, never mind.
Thank you, city manager.
Sure, it looks like he wants to, so I will keep my motion to suspend the rules and allow the city manager to speak.
I will gladly share our negotiation strategy on any property. No, I'm kidding. I mean, I think that the councilor has spoken to me many times about it. We have spoken to St. Rose many times about it. It's a great location, right? It's a perfect location. It's behind our senior center. It's in front of our library. So I am in full support of this order.
Thank you. I just wasn't sure if that was public information, and I wanted to make sure that the city manager shared it if he wanted to. That we have tried to have those conversations already.
Thank you, Councilor Taylor.
I was just going to say that this is all being done already, and so the city managers addressed that, and there were multiple sites that were also looked into. So there was due diligence. I was asked to sit on that committee, so I just wanted to clarify that this has already been being done, and I think you know, a community center is something that a lot of us have been trying to get for several years now, and that's probably on most of our big ticket lists for the city. So, thank you.
Thank you, Councilor. Moving on to the next item.
Next order introduced by the Council President. Order that a meeting of the Subcommittee on Conference be held with the City Manager to receive an update on completed, ongoing, and planned departmental collaboration efforts.
Move to adopt under unanimous consent if there are no objections.
Seeing no objections, would my colleague please share or approve that I speak from the chair?
Move to allow the President of the Council to speak from the chair if there are no objections.
Seeing none. Thank you, Councilor. So real briefly, I just want for the public to understand. So we, similar to my previous comment, at the beginning of this term, we met as a council, we set priorities. We wanted to make sure that we were heading all in an aligned direction and ensure that our city manager had clear instructions as to what we wanted to prioritize our time on. One of the major things that came up was how do we ensure that the resources at City Hall for our community have the highest impact for our community members. And by that, I'll give a perfect example. If a constituent like the ones who were here today comes in to meet with Inspectional Service Department, how are they also being reached out by Board of Health or any of the other departments that should also be speaking to them depending on the conditions in these apartments? It's a quality of life issue that we're dealing with in Chelsea. Our departments have to be able to work together to ensure that our families are not being bounced from one department to another. I would like to applaud the fact that our city departments have been having conversations and have been keeping us up to date, but I would like to hear the latest news as we're reaching near the end of this term to see how far we have gotten in the systems that we are working to implement so that this happens for our families in Chelsea. Thank you. Moving on to the next item.
Next order introduced by the council president. Order that the city manager provide to the city council an update on all expiring use properties in the city of Chelsea.
Move to adopt unanimously under suspension if there are no objections.
Thank you, Councilor. If I may also have a quick moment to speak from the chair.
So moved if there are no objections.
All right, real quickly, expiring use building for the public to know that this is, for example, a Broadway Glen property that is affordable for the community, not owned by, one of our most popular sites, the Chelsea Public Housing Authority, but still is a affordable housing option for our residents here in Chelsea. As we're talking about rent hikes and we're talking about the issue with affordability, these properties that don't necessarily belong to these larger organizations that we work with, they expire. And so it goes back to a table where people make decisions whether it continues to be an affordable housing unit in our community or if it's turned into a luxury apartment building for folks that probably won't be living in or currently living in our community. And so I would like to see if our city manager and our departments can have a conversation with us about what are our plans to maintain these properties affordable past this deadline. I know that it's very random, the dates that each one of these property has, but I'm curious to see if we have anything in the works to address the upcoming deadlines for these properties. Thank you. Moving on to the next item.
Next item introduced by the council president. Order that the city manager and relevant departments explore ways the city can better support small homeowners in the community who face issues when trees cause property damage or pose safety threats in their neighborhoods when hanging on electric wires.
Move to adopt unanimously under suspension if there are no objections.
Seeing none, Councilor, may I have the chair to speak briefly?
So moved if there are no objections.
Okay, so this is actually due to a few of my constituents, but then in conversations with other folks around the city, I see that it is a larger issue and potentially some of my fellow colleagues have received phone calls as well. So when a property is having issues with a tree that is overlapping, damaging either their roof or their siding, the city goes out and does an investigation to see if this, who owns the tree, right? Where does the tree lie? Is it the neighbor? Is it the city? Is there some type of connection with the Eversource company because of the light poles, right? And many times our constituents are left sort of in limbo because the city does not have jurisdiction to fix the problem. And so I don't know if there is a solution for this. I'm hoping to just have a simple conversation with our departments to see how creative we can get, but it is becoming something that I hear more and more of, and so I would like to make sure that our constituents have an opportunity to join a meeting where they can listen to and also participate with their input on their experience with this issue. Thank you. Moving on to the next item.
Next, we have an order.
Madam President, Councilor
Oh,
Recupero.
Councilor Recupero.
Madam President, the city really can make Eversource clean it, because I had that issue for years. Eversource always has that the wires, the city cannot touch the wires when the wires are running to the trees. But the city can negotiate with them and make them clean it. Or the city can go around the wires, because they've done it before. Instead of going directly where the wires are, the city cuts around the wires. They've done it for me many times before. Through the years they've done it. And the issue's been there for a very long time. It's the city has to push Eversource, because a lot of times the city cannot take the wires. So the city has to go and tell them, make sure that you do it. And it's very hard to make Eversource do anything. So it's up to more or less whoever is complaining to keep complaining. Otherwise, they'll never get done.
Thank you, Councilor. Looking forward to having this conversation. Moving on to the next item.
Next item, we have an order introduced by Councilor Jimenez Rivera. Order that the city manager work with the city solicitor and Department of Permitting and Land Use Planning to create an ordinance that would afford renters the same notification requirements as homeowners related to planning and zoning changes.
Move to adopt unanimously under suspension, and I'd like to speak on it.
I object.
Cool. So move for a roll call vote, and I'd like to speak on it. So I think as we have continued to speak about the issues with Wolf's Fish, the issues with the housing situation today, we all want community input, right? We know that community engagement
Counselor, can we pause your comments
Yes.
just for 1 second? We're going to move to a roll call vote on.
You objected. What was your motion? Roll call vote, refer?
No, to refer to a conference.
His motion to refer to conference, sir.
Okay. Motion to refer to conference.
I'd like to speak on it.
So, okay, so I will object to the motion to conference, and then does he get to speak first, and then I speak?
I think if the objection to the
The motion pending is to refer to conference.
and then it was objected, so then it goes back to the original?
Correct.
Yeah.
So I'd like to speak on my motion.
Yeah, and to be clear, I don't oppose having a meeting about this. I just would rather have a document that is a proposed ordinance so that we can have a conversation about something rather than just having a blank conversation that doesn't really have something to discuss. So
Madam President, I made the motion. I'd like to speak on my motion before the counselor gets to make his arguments on my motion.
So the order is your motion was to object his original, then your motion was objected, so it goes back to the original, and I'll ask the clerk to clarify if that is indeed correct.
The original motion was to adopt unanimously under suspension. It was objected to refer to conference. The motion to refer to conference was not accepted unanimously. It was objected to for a roll call vote. The objection receives first, then the maker of the motion, and then anybody else who sees fit to speak.
Okay.
And then there will be a roll call vote
So
on.
maker of the original motion or maker of the motion?
To refer to conference.
Okay, so that
which
would
is the
be
one pending before you now.
So that would be Councilor Taylor speaks first, please.
Counselor Taylor.
Thank you. For some reason, some people want to avoid having a conference to talk about things. And I gotta say, we're not just gonna have meaningless conversation or the fact that we got something in our packet. Yes, we all read it, but we didn't have an opportunity to speak about it. And we can't speak about it offline or else we violate the open meeting laws. So I cannot understand why you all want to avoid a public discussion over important issues that, I mean, this is our job. This is our oversight to do this. And, you know, I think that something like this is a major change to the ordinances. And it's not, you don't want to just have somebody draft whatever they want. We're the ones that decide what they should draft, to give instructions to the city solicitor about what we should draft. Not give somebody carte blanche to do whatever they want, and then we just like, oh, okay, rubber stamp. That's not the way it works. And I plead with you all to please, let's exercise the power of this council to please give oversight to what is going on in this city. We have a responsibility to the people to do our jobs. And I don't think that's been going on lately. And I think that we need to have discussions about a lot of these things. You may think you know what you want to do, but you haven't heard somebody else that doesn't. You haven't given them the opportunity to speak their mind. And this is a dialogue. At the very beginning of this session, we all got together and agreed that we would try to govern by consensus. And you can only come to consensus through discussion. and we can only have a discussion through conference. So I'm sorry that I'm boring the counselor, and he's sighing as though all my words are meaningless, but I assure you they're not. And I beg everybody to please, let's try to come to consensus on these issues.
Okay, I have 3 speakers lined up. I want to say I saw Councilor Recupero and then Councilor Teshi. And then Councilor Jimenez.
I will send it to conference. What council is trying to do is a good thing, involve everybody in it. But it's good that we send it to conference so we can all understand exactly how the wording is going to be written. Because when we do stuff like this, it's written and then we vote on it and we make things happen. But 90% of the time, it just comes in front of us. It's better to have a talk. Like he says, I agree with sending it to conference and we all speak on it. It's good what he wants to do. It's a good cause. But at least all of us will talk and we'll all be in agreement with it. I believe it's a fair thing to do.
Councilor Teshi.
I agree with the counselor. I think with Councilor Recupero, I think Councilor Taylor also had a great point that we should be the ones to determine, based on what we saw last time, what is the proper way through which we notify renters. And if we can have the city solicitor at that meeting, that would also save us time in the future for when they come with a draft and we're like, oh no, but we have edits. No, how about we give what we want this time and then they come back with the draft that we like and then we take a vote on it and then it's good to go. So, I would be in favor of conference meeting on this.
Councilor Jimenez.
I will say I appreciate the flair for the dramatic up here, Anyway, I just want to say this could have been something that was drafted prior to being introduced. The reason that I chose not to is because I am ultimately not a lawyer, and I think that somebody who is a lawyer should be drafting something that then we can look at and decide what is good about this, what is bad about this. That does not take away from any opinions that any of us have, and I think we should. I don't think we should ram through an ordinance saying that we should notify, and treat renters in the same way. However, I think that starting the process means having an initial draft to look at. That can be done by the city because it is the people who understand what the requirements of the law are and what they are not. And we can go above and beyond whatever ordinance is drafted to us, or we can't. I think that it doesn't. We have a gigantic backlog of meetings, right? I don't want to have another meeting just to have a meeting. I want to have a meeting so that we can actually have meaningful discussion about the things that are in front of us. So why should we have 2 meetings about this, right? One to just have a conversation about maybe having something proposed to us by the city solicitor, when we could instead have a conversation with a draft, change that draft however we well choose, and then from there, moving that forward. That is going to be a more robust conversation, and ultimately, I think we are all going to have a better conversation if we have a draft in front of us, because otherwise we're just there speaking about things that we don't know because we're not lawyers, and we are speaking about things that could be or could not be. I'd rather us speak about an actual concrete proposal that we have in front of us. That's all. I'm not trying to hide anything. I'm simply trying to get us to move this work forward in the way that is going to take the least amount of effort for us, which I think is to talk about a proposal.
Councilor Robinson.
Yeah, I don't think there's anything wrong with it, but there are some legal questions in regards to whether or not that we do draft something. I know that we always go to the homeowners, and now we want to be able to notify tenants and what legally we have in order to do that and what we need to do to change the zoning in order for that to happen, and whether or not it's legal to do within. So I mean, if we go to conference, maybe the city solicitor can draft up some things that we can discuss or we can add to or take away from.
Are you requesting that the city solicitor bring a draft to this meeting?
Yes.
Would that be the same thing that Councilor? Different. The wording is different.
That is my original motion. I mean, if we want to schedule a conference with a draft, I'm happy to do that too.
Yeah.
Counselor, are you done, Counselor Robinson? I'm sorry.
Yeah, I just think it's appropriate to be able to have some material in front of us to be able to make some informed decisions.
Just a quick point of order. I spoke about where to send it to. I have not spoken on the substance of the motion, and I would like to at some point before we wrap up. Thank you.
Got it. Thank you, Counselor. Counselor Taylor?
So I don't think we.
Counselor Taylor, you already spoke, but just finish your train of thought real quickly.
I'm just saying, I don't think we need to belabor this. I have no objection to having the city solicitor there at the meeting. She's got to be there at the meeting, and she can explain whatever legal things she needs to explain. If she wants to have a draft, that's fine, but understood that, you know, we're there to actually figure out if that draft is acceptable or not, or what needs to be changed, or whatever. So, you know, I don't think we need to belabor this anymore. I'm sure, you know,
Okay,
there's been enough words said.
Okay, Counselor. Counselor, no counselors want to speak. Okay, so then what motion do we have, Clerk, on?
The motion on the floor is a motion introduced by Councilor Taylor to refer the underlying order to conference by roll call vote.
Okay. So we will enter a roll call vote on this motion that Counselor Taylor just spoke about, which would essentially send it to conference, invite the city solicitor, and have her bring a draft of the order. Okay.
Question, after this vote, the matter is over and we are no longer discussing this order? I just want to know if we're taking this vote first and then I'm speaking on the substance of it, or which one is happening.
If the motion to refer to conference passes, the order itself is addressed and dealt with.
Okay, great. Then I'll hold my thoughts until
If
after
it's
that.
rejected, then the underlying order comes forth. But if the motion to refer passes, the matter is considered settled and we move on to the next item under new business.
Okay, and Clerk, could you please differentiate? Can you just help us understand the difference between the two motions now that they're just very, very close to the original version of it?
No, he didn't.
Which two
original motion was.
So the
was
motion.
to pass it now.
The motion.
You objected and you sent it to
Counselors. So the motion that was proposed was to essentially move what the counselor has to a conversation with our city solicitor, which would include the drafted order that the counselor requested. That is what we're voting on.
Point of order, sorry. Yeah, so I'd like to speak on the substance of the motion, if that is possible, if just to make sure that I can speak on that.
I think the clerk mentioned we need to be able to vote on it and then
So I will be able to speak after.
afterwards, clerk?
Correct?
The item that's before you is the motion to refer to conference.
Okay.
To refer to conference. The motion to refer is the topic by which the council is discussing now. That's it. There's technically no discussion on the substance of the
Got
matter
it. Okay.
itself.
Perfect.
If the motion to refer to conference passes, the item is considered settled. And
Got
we
it.
move on to the next item under new business. If the motion is rejected, the original motion to adopt by roll call vote comes
see.
forth, and you can talk about the item itself.
Okay.
So the motion before you is to refer to conference. A yes vote to refer to conference, majority vote required to refer.
Yes.
Just to clear up, I will be voting yes on this motion.
In terms of that, respectfully, that would be,
The
That-
draft was included now?
that would be up to the city solicitor to determine, because technically what's being referred is the order that's presented to you, which doesn't call for a draft. The order itself is being referred. Council can request the city solicitor do it, but it's not included in the order itself. What's being sent to conference is the order as written, unless somebody wants to amend it.
If I could just amend it to tighten up this.
Go
this
right
thing,
ahead, Counselor.
That if we can ask the city solicitor to provide a draft if she thinks that that's a good idea, or whether not to, and come and discuss it. We'll leave it up to the city solicitor and her expertise.
If I may suggest the amendment, strike create, and read as follows: that the city manager work with the city solicitor and Department of Permitting and Land Use Planning to provide a draft ordinance that would afford renters the same notification requirements as homeowners related to planning and zoning changes.
Okay, thank you, Counselor.
Okay.
Moving on to a roll call vote.
So refer to conference as amended. Majority vote required for referral. Councilor Tenari Garcia.
Yes.
Councilor Jimenez Rivera.
Yes.
Councilor Recupero.
Yes.
Councilor Taylor.
Yes.
Councilor Robinson.
Yes.
Councilor Tesh.
Yes.
Councilor Kelly Garcia is absent. Councilor Sandigan.
Yes.
Councilor Vega.
Yes.
Councilor Brown.
Yes.
And Councilor De Jesus.
Yes.
10 members in favor, 0 opposed, 1 absent. Motion to refer as amended adopted.
Thank you, Clerk.
And now I'd like to speak on the substance of the motion, if I can. Wait,
No.
I can't?
No, but we will have a long
All right,
conversation
well, here
in
we
this
are.
meeting.
That's what I
promise.
asked. Okay.
All right, moving on to the next item.
We have an order introduced by Councilor Kelly Garcia. Order that a meeting of the Subcommittee on Housing and Community Development be held with the Chelsea Housing Authority, project developers, and any relevant city departments to receive updates on the Fitzpatrick-Prattville redevelopment project.
Is there a motion?
Adopt under suspension.
No, I object. We need to, we already said we were moving this to conference when the letter came up, so this for sure needs to be moved to conference.
Seeing no objections, Counselor?
So the amendment was to substitute housing and community development for conference? No objection?
No objections.
Asking questions.
Order adopted by under suspension as amended. Our final item, you have an order introduced by Councilor Recupero, received late. Unanimous consent required for consideration.
Any of my colleagues?
Order introduced by Councilor Recupero, order that the city manager provide to the city council an update on the parking situation at Duo Apartments.
I could speak on it all day, but I'm not going to speak on it
Counselor,
all
can
day.
you start with the motion first, please?
The motion to adopt under suspension if there's no objection.
Thank you, Counselor.
I could speak on it all day, but I'm not going to speak on it all day. I'm just going to say a couple of things that's interesting. One, when we negotiated with them, there was only supposed to be 96 parking spots. Then all of a sudden, it ended up being 40 and 30 more. And then the part that there's no transparency, I like to see it explain why there was no transparency. The order that the city council did prior to this said that in 2020, nobody could get residential stickers if they didn't meet the parking requirements over it. Now, what happened with that particular building, or that particular thing that they did on Central Avenue, 10 days before the order went in effect, they gave them permission to do all these other things. So that's kind of like no transparency. So the only question I have is, how did you manage to get more spots within 10 days? They had lots of time. Now, the people are calling me and asking me, there's cars on the street that are living there. Yes, there was supposed to be 96 of them. 96 original people that were there were the ones that's supposed to get parking stickers. Now, there's a whole bunch of them that can get parking stickers. So the people that are in that area better be aware that now there's going to be at least 140 cars, 150 cars in that area where it cannot support it. And that was done within 10-day period. So where is the transparency that is supposed to be done? It didn't. The question is, I would like an answer. Why was it done within a 10-day period, and why wasn't it transparent enough? That's all. But I just wanted to make sure that the people that live on Central Avenue understand that those people are allowed to get resident stickers. The original thing when we negotiated with it in 2018 was that they couldn't get resident sticker. Only 96 of them, the original ones they lived in the complex, could have. Then they added 40 and 30. And then, from what I understood, then I got a clarification, which I have the papers here. I can show you. from the city manager. That was, you know, the amount they said, and then I got it because the original thing says that everyone in that building could have got resident stickers. And then the city manager asked the housing authority if that was the case, and it wasn't. The case was that they could get 40 and 30, which in the beginning, the part that it's not transparent to me that I can't understand is, how is it that 10 days before the law goes in effect, you're allowed to do it? That's the part that I don't understand. So now those poor people on Central Avenue, on Willow Street, on Watts, they're gonna get buried with cars. Where are they gonna put them? That's the question. Where are they gonna put all these cars when they do come? They've been calling me already, they've already seen that, but that's okay. The only thing I wanna know is transparent. Why didn't they say 10 days before the law goes in effect? That's it.
Thank you, Counselor. Thank you. Moving on to Counselor Robinson.
I have some different numbers as opposed to what my colleague has. The 96 housing authority units were always going to have residential stickers. They're entitled to those. Then there were going to be 40 that were going to be for workforce development. Then there was going to be 30 that was going to be for residents, and the parking garage was going to be for 160 cars. Those were the actual numbers from the original.
Thank you, Counselor. Seeing no other comments, we're going to move on to public announcements and moments of silence. All right, any public announcements? Counselor Brown.
Thank you. Ooh, long night. Thank you. Just want to wish everyone to celebrate Rosh Hashanah with a happy, healthy, sweet New Year's. I believe it's the year 5786. Everyone have a safe holiday, safe New Year's. Spend some time with your family and enjoy yourself. Thank you.
Thank you, Counselor. Any other? Counselor Robinson. Your mic, Counselor, turn it on.
Thank you. Yeah, Chelsea Pride is going to be holding a miniature golf tournament on October 11th for the Chelsea Pride football. It's going to be a fundraiser down at Carter Park. It'll be a cost of $5 for 18 holes. Also that the people are allowed to buy sponsorships. The sponsorships are only at $60 a hole, and it's not too late to sponsor a hole if everyone wants to fill out an application.
Thank you.
Not the one you're thinking about.
Thank you, Counselor. Counselor.
I had a moment of silence.
Okay. All right. Moments of silence, Counselor Taylor.
I'd like to have a moment of silence for Charlie Kirk, who was assassinated almost 2 weeks ago, and it's just a horrible situation, and just a moment of silence for him.
Counselor Tanaidi Garcia, and then Counselor Recupero.
I would like to ask for a moment of silence for my dear cousin, Timothy Vega, who passed away last week. He was 36 years old.
Counselor Recupero, and then Counselor Robinson.
I'd like to have a moment of silence for Mr. Michael Mason, the assistant. His mother died.
Counselor Robinson.
I'd like to have a moment of silence for former Chelsea High basketball player Greg Walker, and also for my brother Danny Robinson.
I'd like to have a moment of silence for the man who lost his life up at the wedding in New Hampshire, Nashua, New Hampshire, over the weekend.
Counselor Jimenez.
School committee member Ana Hernandez's brother recently passed as well.
I would like to add to the list our dear friend and colleague Jorge from the IT department. His father has also passed, and we hold his family in prayer.
Amen.
Okay. Meeting adjourned.
Thank you. Good job.